WQLU Lynchburg, a broadcast service of Liberty University, 90.9 The Light.
Previous play will be reviewed.
Previous play is under review.
It's time to take you under the hood to review this week's action. Get ready for all the hot takes and expert predictions that you need before this week's big games.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is...
After reviewing the play,
Welcome to After Further Review, home of the deepest analysis and boldest predictions. Now, without further ado, here's Joey Palermo and Zach Wheeler.
It's good to be back on the airwaves with y'all once again for After Further Review on 90.9 The Light, alongside my partner, as always, Zach Wheeler. And we've got some special guests for you today. From the morning drive, it's the one, the only, for the second time this semester, our very own Scout Hughes. How are you today, my friend?
I'm getting there, man. It's been a hectic day, to say the least. You know, Thursdays are usually my chill days because I don't have a class till 2:15 at that time. But, man, has it been... I feel like I hadn't got any sleep, and it's been a wild ride. So
It's been a wild ride. We're in December, if you can believe it.
I'm sorry. So now that it's December, I can actually get eggnog milkshakes from Cookout. Oh, and they're so
I saw
good.
you had one this morning.
I did have one this morning.
It was as good as the other people are saying they are, right?
Oh yeah, they're also having a peppermint milkshake. So that's only in December and January.
It's worth it, though. Get a
It
milkshake
is.
every time you can. Of course, Zach Wheeler with us every single week here, whether it's Twitter Space or on 90.9 The Light. Zach, another Thursday and another stressful day, be it football or homework, or in this case, you don't have to worry about it so much tonight, but, you know, it's still stressful. It's that time of the year for us students, you know.
I wouldn't say stress is the right word for me, but I mean, I know a lot of folks are kind of going through it as it is, you know. About a week from tomorrow, finals will start, and we've got a million other things it feels like going on here, at least at the station. So, yeah, but it's a great time of year. I'm happy that we're kind of nearing the finish line. Certainly happy about the time off coming up soon, but excited to be here on the air for a couple more times while we can.
It's really hard to believe, but this is our next to last show for this semester, I assure you. We will have one more show for this year next Thursday, 5 to 7, as always. I say as always, as if this was going to be on for a while. But starting on January, when the semester shifts to the spring, we will be transitioning our time from Tuesday from 5 to 7 o'clock. So, of course, we're going to have the same content that you would see. Of course, it's going to be a little different because, you know, NFL is going to be in the postseason. And, of course, college football will have finished by the time that we are back on the air come January, so there's going to be, the content's going to shift a little bit, but the time is also going to change. Tuesday, 5 to 7. Make sure to tune in, again, Tuesdays, 5 to 7 here, 90.9 The Light. Some of you may have been aware that over Thanksgiving break, we ran a Twitter Space. We ran a special Thanksgiving edition of a Twitter Space. I was there. Zach Wheeler was there. Scout, you listened.
No, I was not there last Thursday. I was for Thanksgiving. Yes,
and that's fine. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
Well, thank you.
And
I hope you did too.
I hope you did as well, Zach. And I know everybody. I hope those of you listening had a great Thanksgiving as well. But we on Tuesday, the prior Tuesday, we did a special Thanksgiving show on Twitter Space. Again, myself, Zach Wheeler, were there. Riley Klingman, you may have heard him from a few different shows that we do, and few different gigs that he does, so to speak, along with Josh Lepowski, and of course TJ Wilkerson on The Point, also being a part of the show. We hope that you guys listened. If you guys didn't listen, the link is still available. It's under our official Twitter handle, which is going to be official AFR 909. So make sure, if you guys haven't listened to it, give it a watch. We always appreciate your feedback, and we always appreciate your comments, and of course your patronage. So while we're talking about Twitter handles, we might as well get into the social aspect of this AFR show. So we'll start with you, Zach. Of course, your Twitter's had to be going up a little bit in terms of activity since the whole Twitter space thing. But tell us your accounts for the people.
Surprisingly, not too much more activity outside of retweet for LCA football on Saturday night last week, which, by the way, was a great time. Shout out to TJ Wilkerson for making the trip back to Lynchburg and doing that one with me. It's a great time. But that's beyond the point. The Twitter handle is at ZWheel15. That is ZWHEEL15. And Instagram is at ZWheeler.15. Full last name Wheeler, and then a period between the R and the 1. So if you guys have social media and decide you want to follow me, I'm not on there a ton, but it's there.
And he always appreciates the follows, as
sure.
does everyone
The numbers
else.
look good.
As do you, Scout. You appreciate the follows every now and again. So
Yeah.
why don't you tell the people your Twitter and Insta?
I mean, whenever I do get the followers, I don't always get them as much as Mr. Wheeler over there does. But I mean, but
I
I
can't
mean,
confirm
always,
that.
I mean, I'm here now and then. But yeah, Twitter handle it's the Real Joe Jr. and then the Instagram is Real Joe Jr. and then just Facebook. Like I know sometimes we do Facebook live streams and stuff like that. For Facebook, for me, it's just Scout Hughes, and that's about it. So.
There you go. I mean, yeah, some people have Facebook, some people don't. I'm one of those people that don't. So
Hey, that's all right.
and everyone, everybody respects their.
We don't
their own.
discriminate.
And it doesn't matter what service you have or what social media you have, so to speak. But it's always important to have a presence, no matter if it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, some combination of the three.
Yeah.
But in this case, I have Twitter and Instagram. Joey Palermo 95 for Twitter and for Instagram. Same thing, capital J, capital P at the start, so what have you. Let's talk about email, because we're contractually obligated to. After further review, 909thelight@gmail.com. I will not stop talking about this until we get a fan mail segment at some point. Whether
Well,
or
we
not,
don't have that much time left, Joey.
well,
At the semester.
at this point, Scout, I'm planning for the long term.
Well, there you go.
I'm planning for January and beyond. But hey, a month and a half is a lot of time to get your fan mail in. And all it takes is just a couple sentences, and we may read it on the air. So just make sure, again, after further review, 909thelight@gmail.com. That's our email that we have for the show. Got a little bit of housekeeping. We've already talked about the upcoming schedule for AFR. Of course, we'll be on the air next Thursday, 5 to 7, and we'll have some Twitter spaces cooked up for you guys over winter break. We're going to try to get a couple in regarding mainly football, mainly NFL, college football predictions. May also sprinkle some World Cup in there because, that's going on. And the next couple Tuesdays, I mean, before you know it, the World Cup's going to be over. I mean, we got, 2.5 weeks until the thing ends, so it's hard to believe, especially given that the regular season, quote-unquote, is still technically going on for FIFA, so just make sure to follow us. Again, Twitter Space will be conducted on our official After Further Review Twitter page. But we're not a selfish brand here at After Further Review. We always like to plug our other shows. And Scout, again, you have Morning Drive.
Yep.
And Morning Drive's going very well this semester.
It is.
And you've got a little bit of plans for the upcoming next couple weeks and beyond, correct?
Yeah. So it's as we all know, the semester's coming up to an end. We do Monday through Friday, with the exception of Thursday, and Josiah, he'll be here in a little bit. As far as that's concerned, he's going to graduate this in what I think it's like 2 weeks. So there are changes that are definitely coming to the Morning Drive. I will say, for a sneak peek for next semester, the drive will be a full 5 days a week. The drive will be a live stream as well. So that'll be something fun that we're in the works of doing right now. So yeah, stay tuned. 5 days a week, YouTube live stream, Spotify podcast afterwards. So it's gonna be a whole lot of fun. I've been talking about it with a few of my colleagues, and also changing the time slot. No longer 9 to 10. It's gonna be 1 to 2 every day.
So they're not going to call it the Morning Drive.
Well, we still have to figure that out.
Right, but yeah, I guess we can safely assume.
We can safely assume that it's going to be something along those lines. But yeah, I have my whole team figuring out what's going to happen, and dude, I'm really excited for it. I appreciate you asking.
Yeah, it's not a problem. I mean, it's what we like to do. Again, we don't like to be selfish here. And Morning Drive is reloading, rebranding, and retooling, so to speak.
Yep.
And it's, Morning Drive, you're going to have to call it a different name pretty soon, whatever it may be. But nevertheless, still an exciting time. Live streaming, it's a show, something that we don't have too often for any of our shows. tried to do that for the NFL Draft Show, for those of you that may have been listening for us for a number of months now.
And I heard we had a great turnout for that event. I mean, but, just from what I heard and what Zach, whatever you said about the turnout, and Joey, you were there. But you know what? I cannot wait for the next one. So.
And you know what? There is going to be a second one, because in April, late April, once again, the night of the draft, we will have our special NFL Draft Show.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, you're listening to three of the voices right now, between myself, Zach, and Scout.
It's gonna be awesome. I'll tell you that much.
It's gonna be fun, and if it was anything like last year, it will be an absolute blast. And I can't imagine. Like I would argue, and I know we're talking about this in December. There's a lot that
but this is fantastic though.
Yeah, it's prime time. I mean, college football's with the championships this weekend and CFP coming up soon. We're gonna know who's gonna be even in the draft here probably the next few days. Like people are gonna start declaring.
Yeah.
So I mean,
some people have already.
Our prep starts pretty much as soon as we can get it, because there's gonna be so much new information about these players coming out pretty much every day until April 20, whatever it is, the day the draft is. I think it's the 29th this year. But
there's been some PFF mock boards already that have popped up. And, again, NFL teams, I mean, they've still got a month and change left in their season. But, I mean, we've got a pretty good idea that pretty sure Houston's not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. So they might get the first pick, probably. Who knows what they'll get.
Well, don't they have like 2 top 10 picks right now? Or is it
they have I think they have the 9th pick too.
And
from
the Cleveland.
From Cleveland,
yeah.
That's what I meant.
You know who else might have a high pick is Philly, because they got
the New Orleans trade. Is that right?
Trade.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Seattle too, because of the Russell Wilson trade. They're going to have
Denver.
I think they have a top 10 pick as well, maybe number 6 right now.
Broncos country. Let's ride.
Don't get used to hearing the Broncos name pop up in the NFL Draft Show, because they're not going to be picking very high for a while.
Well, I mean, we're only doing one round, and unless something just massively goes kaput for the Denver Broncos and they trade up and do whatever, don't expect their name on night one.
No, I
not at all.
I think we can safely assume that Denver may not be up there pretty soon. But we're talking about people that have already declared for the draft. Of course, Will Levis has already declared for the draft. He has already announced that he's not going to be playing in Kentucky's bowl game, whatever it may be. Again, we'll know about Kentucky's bowl schedule Sunday at noon. We'll talk about that a lot throughout this show. We've talked about some other names. Joey Porter Jr. Has already declared for the draft. That is Penn State's best defensive player and one of the top corners in the draft. He's already declared. Yeah. All right. Big deal. One of Florida State's D tackles. Can't remember his name, but he's declared for the draft as well.
Sweet.
And the offensive lineman from Northwestern, who is widely considered as the best lineman in this class, has already declared as well. It is all but assumed that Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, and Blake Corum are all going to declare for the draft, which leads me into the biggest news that we've had in college football. It's not about rankings. It's not about declarations, as important as both things are. A couple hours ago, according to not college football reporter Ian Rappaport, Blake Corum is undergoing knee surgery, and he is going to be out for the rest of the season. This includes, but not related to, the Big Ten title game, the CFP, because Michigan will be all but in. We know that for a fact.
Yeah.
So Michigan, the number 2 seed, I might add, is going to be without its best player for the rest of the season. So, guys, you guys are familiar with this.
Yeah.
How big of a loss is it, and how much pressure does J.J. McCarthy have?
Well, I'm going to just go ahead and say this right now. He didn't play last week either. He tried to play, but the knee wasn't there for him, so he couldn't go. And they still beat Ohio State, who was at the time ranked number 2 in the country, by 2 scores. So, I mean, if I'm Michigan, I'm not too worried, because J.J. McCarthy is looking pretty good, and they have a lot of other weapons outside of the run game they can use on the offensive side of the football. And the defense played well, too.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. If they can beat Ohio State by, the tons of points that they did, 3 touchdowns, without one of their best players, then good night. I mean, what are they going to do in the playoff? What are they going to, pray for old Purdue right now? I mean, whatever they got to go through against Michigan come championship weekend, it's going to be fantastic, whatever Michigan can do. But it's going to be exciting, and, with conference championship weekend, we're moving to that. We're moving to the college football playoff. However that happens, we're moving into bowl season. And then We still have the Army-Navy game.
I
The last
know.
regular season game of the year.
The
It's going to be
arbitrary regular season game that always seems to end the college football season.
regular season at least.
And
Also-
Army's
fun
fighting for
fact.
bowl eligibility.
Also, fun
Oh,
fact.
that's right.
Yeah.
Army's still fighting
Yeah.
for it.
5 wins right now. They win. They have bowl eligibility.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
Hey, there's some stakes. Some years there haven't been. But when we come back, we've got a lot more college football to talk about. The big game happened. Michigan, big win. A couple other big upsets, too, in the top 10. We'll talk about those in a little bit. Back in a couple minutes, you're listening to After Further Review on 90.9 The Light.
Real Talk Sports is back, and this time they are going live. Join the conversation as Ethan and TJ dive into the deep depths of sports.
They finished 6-11 last year, and it's like they're like, oh no, we're good, man. Our best receiver, Darnell Mooney.
Obviously, Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne, they're going to be studs. Montez Sweat, I mean, that man was flying across the field.
Tune in every Thursday from 3 to 5 on 90.9 The Light.
Flames Nation, this is Liberty Field Hockey head coach and proud Flames Club member, Nikki Parsley Blocker. I want to take the opportunity to say thank you to all Flames Club members for supporting our team as we pursue excellence on and off the field. Winning a Big East championship and making the national championship game were huge moments for our program and would not be possible without your support. If you aren't a member, join today by going to libertyflamesclub.org. Membership starts at only $75. Join the team behind the team. Go Flames.
I spend a lot of time in the garage, but even more time in the rain, sleet, and mud. In '95, I helped tow your moving trailer. In '05, I helped you get out of a ditch. Yeah, I know I'm a bit rusty, and sadly in '09, it was sparks from me, your handy chains, dragging behind your truck that accidentally started a wildfire.
Sparks from dragging chains can start a wildfire. Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
And boy, Fox had a great game on tap Saturday morning. Essentially Saturday morning. The big game was played between Michigan and Ohio State, and we're here to talk about that. But first, we have one more additional guest with us here on After Further Review. Please welcome the Morning Drive's own Josiah Elmore. How are we today, my friend?
I'm doing good. Good to be here. Sorry about the late entrance. But
No, it's fine.
Working the phones.
Yeah, working the phones, doing what you're doing. And
Trying to get that job. That's what I'm trying to do.
Trying to get a paycheck.
he's a busy man, is Mr. Elmore, as trying to get a life after graduating. It's hard to believe that.
What is it now? 2 weeks? Less than 2 weeks?
Less than 2 weeks.
Week and a half, right?
Today's Thursday. I think my last final exam is 2 weeks from Wednesday. Or was 2 weeks from last Wednesday.
I got you.
Yesterday. So we're almost done.
We're almost done.
So what do they do because you graduate in December? Do they just mail you your diploma?
Yeah, you get mailed your diploma, and then they hold a spot for you at
when you walk.
the May graduation, so you can walk.
I hear you, man.
I'll be there. I'll walk. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll all walk. That's pretty awesome, honestly.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. All of us.
Pretty much everyone at the station.
This is it, man.
We're all getting out of here.
This is it.
But hey, we're talking about the morning drives, Josiah Elmore, and I emphasize that because the morning drive is doing a lot between now and when the show ends next Tuesday, I believe is the final day, but I could be wrong on that. There's a special show on the morning drive this Monday, so without further ado, I'm just going to hand it over to the morning drive's own Mr. Scout Hughes and Mr. Josiah Elmore, and I'm going to have them announce it.
Yeah, so we're still working on a final date. It will not be next Tuesday though. We're gonna continue past next Tuesday. I think we need to figure out when we both have our last exam scheduled, but we'll figure that out. And so stay tuned for that one. But next Monday, granted, Sunday is the big reveal of the college football playoff rankings. We're going to find out who's in the rankings. But more importantly, we're going to find out who's in what bowl game, which should be a lot of excitement. So instead of our normal 9 to 10, and our scout isn't normally there on Mondays because of his class.
Womp womp.
But Monday from 9 to 11, we're going to do a special 2-hour show going over the bowl games, kind of talking about them, getting some stories from them. So, and hopefully by then, our athletic director, Ian McCall, said that we should know a head coach by next Monday. Hopefully we'll know by then, so we can announce that news as well.
Yeah.
But, we're going to have some special guests. I believe some of the regulars you hear around here will be
Hello.
here. Yeah, yep.
Now, I do have a question for you.
Sir.
We had mentioned behind the scenes that are we also doing a 2-hour thing on Tuesday
yes,
well?
Tuesday, I believe we're going to have a 2-hour thing. I'll have to talk to Mr. Josh Lepowski, our sports director, but I think there's going to be a special 2-hour show on Tuesday for the morning drive from 9 to 11. But he'll have more information about that because he's planning that second hour.
Well, stay tuned because there's a lot of stuff going on, not only with the morning drive, not only with AFR, but all our shows at 90.9 The Life. There's a lot going on. Not just homework, not just stuff behind the scenes. Obviously, we're going to try to bring you all content every single day that we can from now until eventually we all step foot out of Liberty University for winter break. So without further ado, let's get into some college football. As you know, we all love some college football. We all love top 3 matchups because that's what we got on Saturday. The game, the big game, Michigan, Ohio State was good for about one half because Ohio State did not show up in their own stadium.
No halftime adjustments for
No
Ohio
halftime
State.
adjustments. Made J.J. McCarthy look like the second coming of Tom Brady in the second half. J.J. McCarthy passed for more passing yards than C.J. Stroud.
Heisman who?
Heisman who and C.J. who. And I think this calls for my first.
You suck.
Because Ohio State at the end of the day made J.J. McCarthy look credible. And that is just the worst kind of punishment. So, guys, we watched the game. We all did. I hope we did. Michigan, Ohio State. How good does Michigan look? How do you? What are the changes that you feel after this one?
I feel like Michigan should have been number 2 all along, if I'm honest with you. I mean, we've seen Ohio State this year. The games they have won big have been against nobody teams, and then they've had a couple of losses. Not losses, but they've had very close wins teams they shouldn't have made it a game with if they were number 2, as in Penn State and Notre Dame. But that's beyond the point. That being said, Michigan, you can say what you want to about their September being a cakewalk and the quarterback controversy, if you want to call it that, with Cade McNamara, who's now transferring out, by the way, and J.J. McCarthy. But, I mean, this Michigan team has one of the more talented rosters we've seen from a Michigan team in the last probably 20 years. And their defense is really good. And they were in the CFP last year. Now they're probably going back unless something terrible happens in the championship on Saturday. But, I mean, this Michigan team is very formidable, and I'd be afraid to play them in the CFP in a couple weeks.
Yeah, even without Blake Corum as well, they're still really talented offense.
Yeah, we saw with Michigan, all year we've seen them just pound the rock. And then all of a sudden they're just tossing the thing around like it's, their first nature. I mean, that did not seem like something they hadn't done all year. And like you said, JJ looking insane, which, I mean, obviously we don't know. Maybe it was one game and they get up for big games. We'll see what it looks like against Purdue on Saturday. Obviously without Blake Corum, it's going to be an interesting, set of offense, but we'll see how they turn out.
I mean, they made these weren't just drag routes that the receivers were outrunning the Ohio State defense for touchdowns. These were deep throws. The Ohio State secondary was getting burned all game. And now I'm an Ohio State fan, and I had the displeasure of watching this Buckeyes defense all season. And I will tell you firsthand, this is not a one-time thing. The Ohio State secondary has been torched on times on end. There's a reason that this team looked very suspect against Notre Dame and against other teams that they should have been beating by a lot more. It's because their defense sucks. I'm sorry, is it Big 10 or Big 12? I can't tell. Scout, you watched the game, my friend.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
So, I mean, going back to Zach's point as far as Ohio State not playing up to snuff as far as their opponents go in the regular season, I'm going to give them a pass against Notre Dame. Because that's always first game jitters.
That's fair.
And Notre Dame ended up finishing, well, hopefully it looks like they are going to finish inside the CFP top 25. Yeah. As far as their other close games like Penn State, no, that's unacceptable if you're Ohio State. You're practically in midseason form, and then to lose at home by 3 touchdowns. At home against your biggest rival in the Big Ten. I mean, you cannot do that if you're Ohio State. And you know what? As bad as they lost last Saturday, they could still get in the playoff. Given that either TCU or Southern California loses in their respective conference championship game, which could happen because Utah has already beaten Southern California this year.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm still sold on TCU. I'm glad they're undefeated. I'm glad they're from the Big 12 and the CFP right now. But I don't know if I'm completely sold.
Well, we could argue that, of the top 4 teams, TCU looked pretty good, putting up 60. I know it was against Iowa State at home. Okay, I understand that. But TCU putting up 62 didn't force TCU fans to have a heart attack this week. Good job. A team that did have their fans go into heart attack mode, and a team that destroyed the hearts of their fans around the world is LSU. a team that we expected them to beat Texas A&M. We expected them to compete against Georgia, maybe even win the SEC. We were talking about them being a 2-loss team that were going to be in the college football playoff. And then you lost to Jimbo Fisher.
You suck.
So, guys, Texas A&M not only won, they put up 38 points on LSU's defense.
And it was bad going into the half, and then it was bad coming out of the half, especially for the LSU defense. It was just atrocious to watch. And, you can make all the jokes you want about Brian Kelly and, his southern accent. But, it's just they did not play well at all in this game. And it showed. And if there was a conversation for them to make the playoff, being the fifth ranked team last week, it sure ain't the case now.
Yep. 3 losses ain't getting you anywhere.
And barely 2 losses ain't getting you in the playoff.
It was already a stretch when we were talking about them with 2 losses, and now they go out. Every game is their biggest of the year, especially a 2-loss team, and they go out and lay an egg in College Station. It's not the first team to have that happen. Alabama says hi. That happened a couple years ago. So I guess for the sake of clarity, we'll move on. We'll talk about LSU in a little bit. But there was another top 10 team that lost. Another top 10 team. Clemson. Losing to South Carolina. Isn't that a familiar story? South Carolina, this is their first rodeo. Back-to-back weeks, they've beaten top 10 opponents. First Tennessee, hanging up a big number on Tennessee, I might add.
Yeah.
And then scoring 31 in Death Valley to beat Clemson and probably knock them out of the college football playoff. And I just got to say, I didn't watch a second of this game. I'm glad I didn't. Because let me tell you something. Watching Clemson, I don't know how they put up 30 points. I really don't. I know their running back's great. I understand that DJ is, their quarterback and whatever. DJ had under 100 passing yards against South Carolina.
And Joey, to make matters worse, he only completed 8 out of 29 passes during that game.
And that completion percentage is what, Zach?
That is about 30%. Around 30%. He had a QBR of 27.5, also tossed a touchdown and interception, for what it's worth.
Way to go. You made J.J. McCarthy look even more credible.
You suck.
Yeah, Clemson's a fraud. That's all I'm going to say about that. Props to South Carolina. Spencer Rattler had himself another good game, minus 2 picks. But you know what? South Carolina has beaten 2 top 10 teams in 2 weeks. I've always been kind of, I wouldn't say suspicious of Clemson, but I've always thought they're overrated just because of the quarterback situation. And I hope Cade Klubnik can turn the ship around next year for him.
Well, we'll see. The question is, so DJ, a senior, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's going to be gone after this season.
I believe so.
Not necessarily.
Not
maybe not. Maybe not.
But
he came into his freshman
he's
year.
Not going to go to the NFL. He has 2 years left of eligibility.
There's a quarterback debate in Clemson.
Just don't be shocked if you see Dabo Swinney slightly push DJ to the transfer portal and wrap it all up in a bow that he's going to go somewhere that displays his talents better than the Clemson offense can.
You're hinting at a certain school. I can't help but wonder if you have a school in mind that DJ would want to go to.
No school in mind.
No school in mind.
No, seriously, no school in mind. I just know how Dabo is going to spin this because we've seen how Dabo has refused to be wrong about DJ.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's be honest, he's been wrong about him. He's not that guy. He is not. When he came up, all we were hearing is, we got this dude that's better than Trevor. Which has been a complete.
That aged well.
It's complete. And so instead of being wrong,
sorry.
Dabo is going to spin this as, DJ's just going to go somewhere that's going to enhance his career.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it's going to turn into. And where that's going to be, I can't see it being the ACC, the SEC, or the Big Ten. Maybe a Big 12 school, maybe a Pac-12 school.
Probably Pac-12.
And as much as I hate to say it, maybe a Group of 5 school.
Maybe. I mean, we've seen this a lot.
He's from LA. So
Yeah,
maybe a Big Ten school. Maybe in 2 years.
DTR is leaving.
DTR's
You're
leaving.
exactly right.
Watch out for the UCLA, and also Bo Nix is out in Oregon too. So keep an eye out for them as well.
Yeah.
You know, there's several schools that it's like, okay, I could. You know, Michael Penix is going to be out at Washington.
Yeah.
You know, Arizona State's got a new head coach.
How about Cam Rising? What's he doing?
Cam Rising's he's old. He's got to be.
As I say, that guy's older than third. He's got to be out of Utah
to Scout's
soon.
point, Arizona State, Kenny Dillingham.
Yeah.
Look what he's kind of looked like Bo Nix, what he's made Bo Nix look like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe you give him a little bit of a, maybe Kenny Dillingham is the QB rehabilitation coach.
I mean, that makes sense, but I think we're kind of giving Bo Nix not enough credit, quite frankly. He had his struggles at Auburn, but man, has he lit it up at Oregon, and that I think it might go both ways there. But I just don't see DJ, no matter where he goes, him being up to snuff.
I would just say, going back to the Bo Nix point, I mean, it was a couple weeks ago people were talking about him as a sneaky Heisman finalist.
Well, they only had one loss, and that loss was against Oregon. At the time,
he has been hurt the last couple weeks.
At the time,
Yeah, and now it's probably going to a certain other quarterback from the Pac-12, Caleb Williams, who put on a show against Notre Dame.
Who's legit.
38 points against Notre Dame's defense, who's looked better as the course of the season, much like the entire team has looked better throughout the course of the season. Want to make a quick note about Notre Dame's quarterback. Didn't think I'd be saying this on Saturday. Drew Pine started 15 of 15 in that game. Why is that important? Tied the Notre Dame record for most completions to start the game. And this guy was 15 of 15 in the fourth quarter. I think that's pretty impressive. I know USC's defense hasn't been great this year, but I've given Drew Pine a little bit of credit. I've been hard on him all season, but I think that's something to point out. Finished 23 of 26, 318 passing yards, still pretty good, no matter how you slice it. USC getting the win over Notre Dame, big win for them. Let's hit some other highlights real quick in college football. Oregon State gets the rivalry win over Oregon. We just talked about them.
Civil War.
Yeah. More of them. Oregon is out in the CFP as well, much like Clemson, probably much like LSU.
I never thought Oregon, and we'll move quickly here, but I didn't think Oregon was going to make the college football playoff when I found out that they were not going to make the Pac-12 title game.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a disadvantage to know that. And I mean, if you notice, the top 4 teams are playing their championship games. Ohio State isn't. The only team that's outside the top 4 that you could argue has somewhat of a shot is Clemson, who's playing in the ACC title game and has that one chance to impress the judges, so to speak. Other games of note, we talked about TCU. They put up 62 on Iowa State. Alabama, sorry, Josiah, but they hung in there, did Auburn.
They did, yeah.
They won. Alabama wins the Iron Bowl. You know, Iron Bowl's
not
always
really a
big
shock.
deal.
I mean,
they played well.
Yeah,
Auburn.
they held in there for a little bit, but not our year.
But you know what? The news is about what's going on off the field for Auburn right now, hiring a certain former Liberty head coach and Mr. Hugh Freeze.
Mr.
Hugh Freeze.
Mr. Danny Hugh Freeze Jr.
Danny Hugh Freeze Jr.
Bring him home.
War Eagle, right?
War Eagle.
Utah putting 63 on Colorado. They look good heading into the Pac-12 title game against USC. Kansas State gets the rivalry win over Kansas. Washington looks good to end the year, putting up 51 on the road. Purdue is in the Big Ten title game. They beat Indiana and earn the rights to get their butts kicked by Michigan, probably. Let's talk about real quick who impressed the most in a win and in a loss. We're going to start with our guests. We're going to make our way. You can't see it here, but we're going to go counterclockwise. So we're going to start with Scout. Who impressed the most in a win for you this week?
I mean, I'm a little biased, so I'm going to go with my NC State Wolfpack.
Shout out. Wow.
After getting kicked out of the top 25 after 2, quite frankly, horrendous losses to Louisville and Boston College back-to-back. You come back and beat the ACC Player of the Year and the ACC Rookie of the Year, Drake May, in double overtime to beat Carolina, and now you're sitting pretty at the rear end of the top 25. I will say this, though.
Yeah.
Every North Carolina State has had 4 quarterbacks start for them this season. all 4 of them have recorded at least one win for the Pac this year.
And one of them was Wake Forest.
Yeah.
Third string
And I was told, man, we're going to lose this game. and I was like, come on, ye of little faith.
I mean, to say it's been an up and down year for the NC State Wolfpack is putting it very mildly. Josiah, who impressed the most in a win for you?
I think for me, in a win, South Carolina. I mean, you finally, what was it, 8 years?
Yeah, it was like since 2013.
Yeah, you finally get a win against Clemson. And Clemson, yes, it was still a long shot for them to make the college football playoff, but they win that and they still have a chance. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now South Carolina completely eliminated that chance with the win.
All but eliminated them.
So I was really impressed with South Carolina. With that win.
Like we said, back-to-back top 10 victories for South Carolina, one of them on the road. Zach, who impressed the most for you in a win?
I am Michigan. They beat what we thought was a good Ohio State team by 3 scores without their best player.
I mean, really all needs to be said, right? I mean, Michigan actually looked credible for the first time this season, and I have to give them props even if I do hate Michigan's guts. So Michigan for me. Last time I'll be saying that this year. Who impressed the most in a loss? Scout, we'll start with you.
The team that impressed me the most in a loss is, and you might not, you can say what you want, but I thought Florida, given the circumstances, impressed the most in a loss. They only lost by 1 touchdown. And if it wasn't for Jordan Travis, who just absolutely popped off in that game, Florida would have won that game. And I think they're going to have some high upside going into their bowl game wherever they go. And we'll see what happens next year. But Florida impressed the most in a loss.
Very impressed. I mean, again, another team with an up and down season.
Yes.
Florida. Josiah, who impressed the most for you in a defeat?
The scoreboard really not going to show this one, but Georgia Tech. Because Georgia Tech, coming into this game, it was like, oh, they're just going to get taken to the slaughterhouse, and this won't even close. They kept it close for a half.
They did.
And then they covered the spread.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they didn't.
What was the spread?
The spread was 35.
Yeah.
They lost by 23. But, I mean, with a pretty depleted team, they had like their 3rd string quarterback.
Yeah.
And I did see reports today that their head coach, they took the interim tag off. He's now their full-time coach, Brent Key. He dismissed a few of his assistants today. I think it was like 3 of them, but either today or yesterday. But
yeah, so just Georgia Tech, being able to keep it close with Georgia. Yes, not a 23-point ball game. A lot of people say that's not that close, but it was 10-7 at halftime.
I mean, we were all watching the game, and I mean, first of all, Georgia playing down to competition. What else is new? But second of all, I mean, some of the receivers for Georgia Tech. This one, I forget his name, Josiah. You'll have to remind me, but this one kid for Georgia Tech is making all these crazy catches on Georgia's defense.
Yeah, I believe it's Nate McCullum.
Yeah,
it's 6 catches for 65 yards, and you're right. It seemed like every time they chucked the ball down the field, he's there. Not always necessarily making the catch, but contending for the catch. So I feel like it was, Georgia Tech ends their season at 5-7, but
given their
circumstances and the way they competed in this game, you kind of got to tip your hat to Brent Key and the staff. I mean,
yeah,
because what week did George Collins get canned? I think it was after the UCF game.
Yeah,
no,
so it was pretty. It was still September.
And then they go out. They beat a ranked Pittsburgh. They beat Duke. They finished nearly bowl eligible.
You're exactly right. And they come into this game. They only allowed 1 turnover and they forced a turnover.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that they competed.
They did compete for sure. Zach, let's talk. Who impressed the most for you in a defeat?
I'm gonna go with one that maybe is questionable to some folks. I'm gonna say North Carolina, just because they're a bad kicker away from winning that game. If the kicker can hit a field goal in regulation, the Drake May game-winning touchdown drive is a game-winning touchdown drive instead of game-tying touchdown drive, and overtime never happens, and State doesn't win in there. So, gotta give hats off to the offense. They played well. Defense doesn't matter, but special teams, like a lot of my sports teams, is costing them yet again.
They're not only the first team amongst your teams that you've watched, Zach, to suffer from a lack of a kicker, but we've seen a number of college teams struggle, and you could argue some results may be different that may have changed the course of the season if kicks were made, so to speak. I'll go Oregon, 34 points on the road. I mean, that's not easy to do. Bo Nix looked good again, not playing at 100%. And Oregon State's a darn good football team. I mean, they've quietly produced one of their best records in program history in quite a while. So I give them a ton of credit as well, Oregon State. But they're up there, but a certain team in Michigan won my impressive whatever. Real quick, who disappointed the most in a win? Scout, we'll start with you.
UCF. They played South Florida, who has only won one game this year, winless in conference. The final score is 46-39. I'm sorry. You even in a win, you cannot play down to South Florida's level. And I know a lot of schools that play down to their opponent's level, but man, it was not pretty for UCF.
Yeah, I mean, UCF ranked.
And they're ranked. Like, come on.
They didn't play like it. Josiah, disappointed the most for you to win.
Honestly, Texas.
Against Baylor.
Against Baylor. Baylor has not been that good this year, and they really held their own with Baylor. Also, disappointed in a win was USC.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking that
they probably should have handled Notre Dame a little bit better than they did.
A little bit. It's almost like their defense hasn't been amazing all year either. Also, Texas and Baylor, the battle of teams that almost beat TCU and knocked them out of the CFP.
Almost, yeah.
Almost. Zach, disappointed the most for you to win.
Yeah, I think Texas is a fair bet for that. I would say BYU as well because they allowed 28 points to Stanford and only won by a touchdown.
This is true. And Stanford,
the same Stanford that beat Notre Dame. Gotcha.
The same Stanford that lost their head coach as well.
Well, he stepped down, but
same. I mean,
yeah,
stepped down, over there. Lost. It's all the same at the end of the day.
I respect David Shaw a lot.
He's been there for a long time. David Shaw. He's stepping down for a while. Disappointed the most in a win. I don't know. I mean, I'll just go UCF. Why not? I mean, when you give up 39 points to a team with only one loss, or one win rather, it's not good. I don't care if you're on the road or not. Disappointed the most in a loss, Scout. Who do you have?
Got to go with Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl. Man, you guys had them on the ropes, and you gave in to the cowbell, man.
More cowbell.
I think I need a little more cowbell. No.
A little more cowbell.
What are you doing, Ole Miss? Come on, like. I know it was a 2-point loss. I know, but you guys are ranked. You guys were top 15 in the middle of the year. What are you doing?
I know. I gave them confidence. I said, "Hey, watch out for Ole Miss." Just gone out.
Kerplunk.
Yeah, they might unranked, aren't they? They're unranked right now. Ole Miss. It's crazy. Zach, Josiah's not here with us at the moment, so Zach, we're going to go to you. Who disappointed the most in the loss?
Yeah, Josiah went to go work the phones for a moment. So in the meantime, I'm going to throw out Coastal Carolina because, well, they got beat by 40 by Coastal, or by James Madison rather. Coastal was the losing team. James Madison won at 47-7, and Coastal Carolina is still somehow eligible to compete for a Sun Bowl championship this weekend. So if you're going to play a championship game, do better going into it. Come on, Coastal, you're better than that.
I mean. Look, there's a certain team that I really want to say that's also the university that I go to, but I don't really want to talk about that right now.
I'm the same boat with you, actually.
Well,
I watched that thing in its entirety, and I hate that I did.
I was. I mean, are y'all referring to the game that was on Saturday?
The one that just happened to appear on this campus.
Team.
Yeah,
against the
I
school
was
from
at
the
that
West
game.
Coast. Yeah,
I was at that game, and for that to be the last football game that I attend as an undergrad student, that was hard.
Yeah.
That was hard to watch. Not just because, through all the drama that was going around and, our team didn't play particularly well and the drama before, during, and after and the press conference afterward, it was just like,
just felt flat the whole game.
But hopefully, whatever happens, whenever we get our new head coach, it's going to be, hopefully it'll be not to take away from the fantastic season that Liberty had. We finished 8-4.
Still, yeah,
and
record.
we've had at least 8 wins for the past 4 years.
Yeah,
that's right.
So as a student, I am clearly thankful and proud to be a Liberty Flame that has experienced great success, especially on the gridiron. So,
they played.
Had to put that. I don't know. I know, kind of.
Yeah.
But it was sad to watch. It was really sad to watch.
Yeah, it just felt like a flat game, and it just felt more than just the game was being played. It was just all the stuff happening that we couldn't see. Turns out, now we know what happened. It's really tough not to pick them. I'm going to throw a name out there. and it's kind of unfair to them because I did hype them up in the AFR Twitter space. But come on, what was that from Vanderbilt? I mean,
well, they were on a streak.
I understand that.
Streak.
They were, and I mean, I would have thought they would have put up some kind of fight against Tennessee. I mean, it's at home. Tennessee really doesn't have anything to play for.
They have no quarterback and no defense, and they won by 56.
Yeah, they got shut out, and it's like I was rooting for you. You're all rooting for you, and then and it's just another down year for Vanderbilt, but. I'm not going to be too harsh on them. I mean, ultimately 5-7, I think, is a success for Vanderbilt these days.
Anything over 3 wins is a success for Vanderbilt.
This is true.
I mean, 2 weeks ago I said they're the best team in Nashville. I now rescind that statement.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of a rough statement.
Yeah, it was fun for the time because the Broncos did almost beat the Titans, but that's for later.
This is true. Broncos Nation. Let's ride. When we come back in a couple minutes, we're going to have some CFP rankings to talk about and what it's going to take for some of the teams outside the top 4 to sneak their way into the big dance, so to speak. We'll be back in a couple minutes. You're listening to After Further Review on 90.9 The Light.
Flames Nation, this is Liberty softball head coach and proud Flames Club member, Dot Richardson. I want to take this opportunity to invite you to join me in supporting Liberty Athletics' mission to train champions for Christ on and off the field. Your support directly impacts our student athletes and is a valuable part of our team. Membership starts at just $75 and comes with great benefits like access to premium seating, hospitality, and parking privileges. Join today. Visit libertyflamesclub.org.
Tune in to the pregame warm-up on 90.9 The Light. Listen to hosts Zach Wheeler and TJ Wilkerson team up with some of the newest faces in sports radio as they prepare you for the weekend's action. The pregame warm-up starts Saturdays at 10 a.m. Listen live on the air or on the Light app, on the App Store or on the Google Play Store.
Sarah's worried about her husband. Jack has been coming home later than usual, blaming long hours at the office. But Jack doesn't work in an office. He works in a local cinnamon bun shop. Sarah's also finding hair that isn't hers. One day, Jack leaves the house in a hurry, using the cinnamon shortage crisis in Sri Lanka as an excuse. So, Sarah follows his car to a building right off Route 29. There, sure enough, she finds her husband in a position most compromising, the downward dog with a tabby cat curled up on his back. Now, cat yoga at the Lynchburg Humane Society is something they do together. And for $10 a session, you too could perfect your chaturanga surrounded by friendly felines. Call now to find out when the next session is at 434-448-0088 or lynchburghumane.org. It won't solve the Sri Lankan cinnamon crisis, but it might help you find your zen. Just don't hide it from your wife.
This is After Further Review on 90.9 The Light alongside Zach Wheeler, Scout Hughes, and Josiah Elmore, who's still somewhere. I'm Joey Palermo. We are here to talk about one of our favorite times of the year, college football playoff rankings. This is the weeks that they start to matter, and we're here to talk about the week that is. This is the final CFP rankings before the actual selection show this Sunday at noon. And they're pretty important. Obviously, every week is important, but we'll give you the top 4, and then we'll give you some of the other names to note. Top 4 in order: Georgia, Michigan, TCU jumps up to 3, USC cracking the top 4 after Ohio State, of course, losing to Michigan. Ohio State drops to 5, so they'd be the first team out if the season ended today. Alabama cracks the top 6, which a lot of people are not happy with. You'll notice Tennessee wasn't in the top 6, and yet Alabama lost to them. So that's actually the most controversy that's been given from the CFP rankings this week. As far as the rankings themselves go, no real surprises. A few big jumps. Washington jumping to 12, having a very good week against Washington State, getting the biggest jump out of anybody this week in Washington. But they're not the second best Pac-12 team in the CFP. That would be Utah, who has jumped all the way to number 10. I said 11. It's actually number 10. And they're going to be playing, or no, I'm sorry, they are 11. Kansas State's in the top 10. Kansas State has a big game with TCU that we'll talk about later. But Utah jumping to 11. I don't think at this point the changes are kind of like, how do we really feel about them? I mean, it's pretty cut and dry at this point. You got to win your games if you're going to move on. And for Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and USC, they all have championship games in their conferences. So, guys, we'll start with locks because we always like to talk about all the factors here. Who do we believe? And I think Georgia's a lock. So besides Georgia, who do we think are locks to make the CFP? We'll start with our guest, Scout Hughes.
Honest to goodness, I think that's it.
That's it?
Yeah, because all year, Georgia is clearly the top dog. No pun intended. Actually, no total pun intended. But I mean, think about it. If for some stupid reason Michigan loses to Purdue and everybody else wins, well, no. Now that I'm thinking about it, because why would Ohio State get in over Michigan?
That's the thing that I struggle with.
All right. No. Yeah, Michigan looks like a lock. I had to think about that.
So you're thinking Georgia and Michigan?
Georgia and Michigan.
Zach, are you in the same boat? Georgia, Michigan for you?
Yeah, I'm gonna say that Georgia is a lock because they're undefeated. They won the Natty last year. Gave them a shot to defend their title, and also if they were to defeat LSU again, which I think that's pretty expected. LSU's beaten some good opponents this year. If they were to lose to LSU, you could argue the same thing. Hey, they beat Alabama. They've beaten a couple of good teams. So they also lost to A&M. That being said, Georgia's getting in. I think Michigan is probably going to be a lock as well just because, again, they're playing Purdue, and Aiden O'Connell's got some off-the-field stuff going on, so his stats still up in the air. And I don't think Purdue has a shot in that game without Aiden O'Connell, if I'm honest with you. Don't want to say too much about the pick there, but I probably gave it away. So I think those two teams are probably going to be our locks to get into the CFP. That being said, I mean, you've got TCU in there. TCU's getting some heart attack games this year, if you will, a couple that were a bit closer than they should have been. And USC, I mean, they lost Utah earlier this year, like we'd said. So, if Cam Rising does what he did the first game and puts up 400 yards and has a crazy statistical night, then Southern Cal might be on the ropes as well.
Yeah, and I mean, the difference between Michigan's situation, obviously I think Georgia's getting in regardless. Even if they lose to LSU, still, I think a quality loss. I think LSU's had a good enough year to warrant that. Michigan is undefeated, and that's the thing that they've got going for them. Also, they play in the Big Ten, and they've got a bigger rapport than a TCU, even though TCU has more than earned the right to be in this conversation. Need I remind you they've beaten 6 teams in the top 25 this season? Need I remind you that every challenge that they faced, most of their big wins have come on the road, I might add. And it doesn't get any easier because now they got to play Kansas State again. But all that to say, Georgia's a lock. And as much as I want, maybe it's the Ohio State in me. Michigan has a 99.99999% chance of making it. There's probably a world that I'm not thinking about where Michigan falls out. And I don't know what that world is, but I'm sure there's one out there. But all that being said, TCU and USC are by no means a lock. We'll see what happens with the Big 12 and the Big 10 and the SEC and blah, blah, blah. But let's talk about the teams, because this is always the best part about CFP is what needs to happen for these teams to make it. And we're going to start in order. We're going to go with Ohio State. So, Scout, what needs to happen for Ohio State to make the CFP?
TCU or USC loses.
Okay. Just simple as that. Just one loss, Ohio State's in. Zach, are you in the same boat, or do you have a different
I would agree because USC would then be a 2-loss team. Ohio State wouldn't have a chance to get their second loss. And then TCU, again, you could give the quality of opponent argument for them as well. So I think either of those teams losing would be a good pathway. I think both of them losing is a lock.
I think preferably they'd like to see USC lose because that would mean 2 losses, and maybe they'd have
they
a
would
better
jump in the rankings.
They
likely.
would. Yeah,
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, Ohio State, say what you will about, they haven't played anyone. Say what you will about, they don't look amazing on paper. But at the end of the day, they have one loss in the Big Ten. They've beaten everyone they need to beat except for Michigan. And as long as Michigan is ahead of them, and they're at 2 preferably, they'll probably find a way to make it. But that's assuming TCU and USC lose. Let's talk about Bama. And I hate talking about this because I don't want to see Bama in my tournament. But Scout, what needs to happen?
His tournament.
My tournament. I wish I made the rules.
Here's the thing. We've never seen, and I mean never, in the history of the college football playoff since its inception in the 2014 off season for college football, we've never seen a 2-loss team make the college football playoff.
Nope.
Alabama has lost to Tennessee. They've lost to LSU. LSU lost to Texas A&M, and Tennessee lost to South Carolina. It's going to be very, very hard for Alabama to get in, but here's how they do it. TCU loses, and USC loses.
Okay.
And I think it's almost as simple as that.
Okay.
Which, by default, if Alabama gets in, by default, Ohio State gets in.
Yeah.
And that's the only way. It's not either or. That by default, that's what's going to happen.
They are the person holding the door for the person that's trying to barge in, so to speak. Ohio State's trying to barge in. Bama's trying to squeeze in behind them, so to speak.
I mean, you got the the people over at the country club in the gate. Well, you got the barbarians sitting in the front, waiting, trying to get in. In Ohio State and Alabama.
Yeah, they're trying to get in, but they got to find a way to. Zach, are you in agreement? Do you think that's going to take a TCU and a USC loss to
Or
get
do
in?
you think they're just out altogether?
I mean, Bama is on the ropes being out together. I think you need TCU to lose handily, Southern Cal to lose handily, and probably Michigan to lose as well. If you want them both in. If you want just one of them in, Alabama would have to, and well, they can't really do anything either. But TCU, Southern Cal both have to lose pretty big, and it have to be in a way that they're saying these teams look worse than Bama did in their losses this season. So Bama would be the more competitive team in this playoff.
But to be fair, Alabama's losses have only been by what?
Combined 5 points.
5 points.
5 points. 2-pointer at LSU, and then there was the field goal at Tennessee.
Yep. That's quality losses, if you're going to count them as quality losses.
It was 4 points. They were down by 1, but they went for 2 at LSU. So 4 points combined on the season.
So does that really sound that bad, guys?
No.
Okay.
And they lost to good teams.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point.
There's a real chance they could crawl their way back in there, even with the 2 losses, because honestly, I would much rather have a 2-loss Alabama in there than a 2-loss Ohio State or a 2-loss Southern Cal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now let's remember, guys, it's called the Alabama Invitational for a reason.
This is what they've been saying. The Alabama Invitational. What needs to happen? Yes, TCU needs to lose. Yes, USC needs to lose.
Which is a good possibility.
I mean, the way
Not definite.
Kansas State likes to play better when they're the lower seed. That's all I'm saying.
Amen to that.
And USC, they don't want to see Utah again. Utah took them to the brink in the first time they played. So just be aware of that. I mean, Alabama, I'm sure, is sitting pretty. Again, anyone outside the top 4, except for one team we're going to get to, is not playing on Saturday.
I have a question, just real quick. So, if USC loses to Utah pretty closely,
okay,
let's say by the exact same score difference they did when they lost to Utah the first time.
Okay.
So that would be by 2 points.
Yeah.
You have a 2-loss USC and a 2-loss Alabama, regardless of Ohio State.
Yeah.
Does USC get in over Alabama? Because you have 2-loss teams, pretty close in score differential, and USC has played more ranked. I believe they played more ranked opponents.
Depends on the game, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think USC has higher quality wins as far as ranked opponents in the Pac-12. Because I mean, there were some surprises in the Pac-12 with Washington, Utah, UCLA, among others. But I think it'll come down to how many points do they allow defensively. If that's the case. I mean, if they lose 44-46 or something crazy like that, then I think you maybe put an Alabama or an Ohio State in there over top of them. But if they lose 13-10, then that's a different story.
All right, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, we have some other scenarios as well. And by the way, I think TCU, USC need to lose for Bama to have a shot. Whether or not that shot is legit, we'll find out. Let's talk about some maybe out there teams. This is like the second tier, so to speak. But we can't help but throw them in the mix because they're number 7. Does Tennessee have a chance, Scout?
No.
Yeah, no defense, no quarterback. They're not
I'm only
in.
talking about the top 6.
Okay. So we've got some other names, so I guess we could just say a yes or no for these.
If they have a chance to make the playoff?
Penn State.
No.
Yeah.
No chance. They're 3rd in the Big Ten. Doubt they get in.
They're also 3rd in the division.
Yeah.
They're 3rd in the division. They lost to Ohio State. They lost to Michigan. They're done.
So we've got those teams and they're inactive Saturday. We talked about them a little bit. Go ahead, Scott.
Bama might be the only 2-loss team that gets a pass.
I agree.
That's it.
I agree.
Because of what you said.
Yes.
5 points combined.
Yes.
Now, if Hendon Hooker was healthy, that'd be a different story. But even still, they did get blown out by South Carolina. So that's,
And they don't have another chance to impress the people in the CFP, so to speak. There is a team that does, and a team that's outside the top 4.
And that is
Clemson, because they play North Carolina in the ACC Championship. Now, I'm going to ask you this. They play, everyone else doesn't. Does that work to their advantage?
I think it moves them into that top 7, top 6 range if they win. Because, I mean, here's the thing. Clemson and UNC are the exact opposite team because UNC has a great quarterback, okay weapons, and a terrible defense. Clemson has a bad quarterback, okay weapons, and a great defense.
Exactly.
So, I mean, this is one, it depends on if can Drake May outscore Clemson's defense, or is DJ going to show up for the second time this year like he did against Wake Forest? And if that's the case and Clemson balls out, maybe the committee says, okay, these guys might be number 8 instead of number 9, but I don't think they're going to be in the CFP unless they win and they have literally the entire top 4 lose humiliating fashion.
I think George is in regardless, but go ahead.
See, it's one thing when you lose to South Carolina by 1 point.
But
it's another thing when you get blown out by Notre Dame.
That is true.
I'm sorry.
That should be the eliminating game too.
Whole nother thing.
And you know what? I am probably the biggest supporter of the Atlantic Coast Conference sitting in this room right now.
Mm-hmm.
For the second year in a row, you will not see an ACC representative in the college football playoff.
I agree.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. Big statement.
And you know what? If Clemson's going down this trend, I can't tell you the next time we'll see it.
It'll take UNC getting a defense.
I think, exactly. I think it's going to be Carolina.
Yeah.
It's got to be Carolina.
Yeah, because State will have a quarterback next year, or unless Finley, continues to be the guy. But even still,
are you talking about State?
Yeah, State.
Well, shoot, we got 4 quarterbacks to choose from.
you guys
Because as
have
far as I know,
4
Devin Leary
choose from.
hasn't made a decision yet.
Yeah, that's true. Leary hasn't made a decision yet. So
if he was smart, he'd come back.
Yeah,
he would.
You feel like he would want to go and stay another year. The way his season's kind of fallen off the rails, but. See what happens. I mean, it doesn't look good for the ACC, but Clemson, at number 9, you never know. Maybe they could impress this. Maybe they could get above Penn State, Tennessee at the very least. We'll see.
I think you do have a point there, Joey. They could get above Penn State. They could get above Clemson, but man, a 1-point loss, I'm going to say it again. A 1-point loss to South Carolina, great, or not great, but not
the way South
horrible,
Carolina's been playing.
Not right. But Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
And the way they lost.
That's embarrassing.
And the way they lost. It's not good.
Yeah,
it was
35-14.
It's not good.
No
points in the fourth quarter either in that one for Clemson.
And I was at ACC Media Days, and Dabble was talking up DJ like he was, like he was Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I just kept laughing.
Yeah.
But, man, we'll see how – that should be a great game, Clemson and North Carolina, and the ACC title game live from Charlotte.
Fun game to watch. A fun game to watch for sure. When we come back, we've got more football that we watched over the weekend. We're going to talk some NFL, talk about some of the big games between Thanksgiving and last Sunday. Back in a couple minutes, you are listening to After Further Review on 90.9 The Light.
How much garbage will you generate in one lifetime? Well, statistics show that it's about 600 times your weight. A lot of that trash and garbage will be left in places it should not be, such as the side of roads, parks, or yards. Pollution is an important issue in the world today, especially trash and garbage pollution. Solutions may come as a surprise. Recycle. Did you know that each year Americans use more than 850 million trees? If you throw an aluminum can out of your car window, it will still be there 500 years later. Facts and research has proven that if we take care of our planet, it will be a healthier place for all of us to live. Here are just a few suggestions on how to get started. 1/3 of your garbage is packaging. Toss it in the recycling bin. Flatten and recycle boxes. Use rags to wipe up spills instead of paper towels. It's simple some of the steps we can take to preserve the land created by the Almighty God. The Bible says in Genesis chapter 2, verse 15, the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. This means that God gave us the earth as a gift, and we must not pollute it because it's not ours. So please, if you see trash, go the extra step to put it in its proper place.
Come experience the thrilling action of Liberty Flames men's basketball.
Pull up for 3 of Roland. Boom!
McGee with 30.
Two-time ASUN Player of the Year Darius McGee is back and ready to put on a show for one more season.
Take our team last year, you give them a year of experience, there's no telling what can happen.
Come watch Liberty take on Maryland Eastern Shore this Friday at 7 p.m. at Liberty Arena in Lynchburg. Tickets at lubasketball.com.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
WQLU Lynchburg, a broadcast service of Liberty University, 90.9 The Light.
Back with some more football here on 90.9 The Light alongside Zach Wheeler and Scout Hughes, and Josiah Elmore decided to come back. Welcome aboard.
Sorry, like I said, been working the phones today. It's been a busy day.
He's been busy. He's our Adam Schefter, so to speak, of today.
Except he's right, but...
Yeah, he's right, but, Anyway, we'll get into some NFL here. We're going to start with a Thanksgiving game that was very fun, but also as a fan of one of these teams, very much irritated me. Vikings and the Patriots. I very much hyped up this game. I very much believed that New England was going to be on board and win and defeat Minnesota and take care of business and what have you. Kirk Cousins doesn't show up in primetime and blah, blah, blah. New England, turns out, they didn't show up for primetime. The fourth quarter was an absolute disaster for New England. Getting sacked left and right. Kirk Cousins throwing dots like he was the second coming of Dante Culpepper. And Justin Jefferson, give him credit, made some terrific catches in the fourth quarter. Vikings, of all teams, can be the first team to clinch a division this week. They can clinch the NFC North with a Detroit loss and a win. So, guys, we watched the game. We all had a sense. I know it was Thanksgiving, and so we were a little bit excited, a little bit happy to spend time with family. But I'm sure y'all watched the game. Vikings, are they for real?
I mean, here's the thing. I'm just going to look back at this game for a minute. Not necessarily on the Vikings, because I think the Vikings won this one a bit fluky, to be honest with you. I mean the special teams touchdown
Green Bay fan
helps. Wangu had the special teams touchdown. Good for him.
Yeah.
Congrats. That helps your case a lot. I mean, the thing that I don't like about this one was the Patriots got absolutely screwed out of a touchdown in the third quarter. That would be the difference in this football game. If they have that touchdown, they score the extra point after. That is a game that they win. Also, I will say that the defense didn't necessarily impress me, and you allowed 26 points. And there's also, 7 tackles for loss, good number, but only 1 sack on Mac, or 2 sacks on Mac Jones, 3 sacks on Mac Jones. Not too many. Only lost 20 yards off that, and he had an okay game too. So Minnesota's defense not impressed by. The offense stepped up. I mean, Jefferson had 1 catch. Or no, he had 1 completion, brother. He threw a touchdown pass. That was weird.
That's right. You forgot about that.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. But, I mean, a lot of weird things went the Vikings' way, and I don't know. I think New England's still a really good team. They just had some bad luck.
Yeah, opening up some old wounds because, if that Hunter Henry catch is actually a touchdown, like it really should have been.
Ball didn't touch the ground, never touched the ground. It was on his chest. The folks in replay got that wrong.
I think it took the air out of their sails, personally.
I think it did, too.
It's a young team. I mean, you want to counter one of the best offenses in football. I mean, dare I say it, but I mean, when you got an offense with Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, TJ Hawkinson.
And they're all healthy.
How can you bet against that offense? I could bet against Kirk Cousins, but does that mean I could bet against the other 4? Heck no. So we watched the game. Morning drive, people. Josiah, fellow New England fan. I'm sure you're irritated.
Yeah. It was like Mac Jones looked the best he looked basically all year.
Yeah.
Then we get to, the last couple drives, and it's just, I don't know if it's Mac. I don't know if it's play calling. I don't know what it was, but it didn't look good. But I discussed this a little earlier. It's kind of hard to stop Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, TJ Hawkinson, Adam Thielen, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
It's difficult, and I will just say I think that was one of the better offensive performances that I've seen from New England this year. Scout, you watched the game.
I mean, I'm just shocked Minnesota won a primetime game.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
That's valid. That's completely valid. I am too.
I was like, fine time for Kirk Cousins to show up in primetime when we needed that game.
Come on now.
It's not like y'all needed to win. Come on. Y'all got the NFC North. No offense, Zach. But, you know.
Hey, the NFC North's terrible outside of the Vikings. Even still think they're frauds, but that's beyond the point.
I mean, we might as well talk about the NFC while we're here. We're going to talk about the Sunday night game. Hey, another primetime game for the Packers in which they're expected to win, to get blown out, rather. And they kept it close.
Yeah, they didn't get blown out.
Yeah.
Now, shall I go on my Packers tangent now, or shall I let Scout and Josiah speak
We
first?
might as well talk about it because you're talking about it, so go ahead.
Okay, so I'm watching this game. First off, you got to start off better. The first drive interception in the red zone, can't have that, Rodgers. That's terrible. The second interception, great play by the safety. What can I say? But nonetheless, going down 14-0 is not a great way to start the game. On offense, good things happen. Rodgers, not a terrible night. I mean, 11 for 16, 142 touchdowns. The 2 picks weren't great. The 3 sacks weren't great. But he didn't have, a bad game. Jordan Love comes in. Jordan Love looks like the next big thing in Green Bay. I mean, I think that if Aaron Rodgers can't go against the Bears on Sunday, Jordan Love is going to go in there and put on a show, okay? I like what I see out of that kid, and I would not have said that a year and a half ago when they played Kansas City. Or Detroit, for that matter. But then there's the side of the defense. There is no reason, and I mean no reason at all, you score 33 points in the game and lose. Should never happen. You shouldn't lose a game you score 21 points in my opinion, because if your defense allows 500 total yards, 500, and 363 yards on the ground. By the way, that is the most in an NFL football game in 82 years. Come on, defense. Joe Barry's got to go. Get that man out of there. Defense got to pick some things up, too.
Let him know, Zach.
Packers stink.
Let them know.
That's the
Wow,
season.
he said Packers stink.
They're terrible.
And also part of it as well, Jalen Hurts had 157 of those rushing yards, which not only
in a quarter,
more than his passing yards
in the first quarter.
Yeah, in the whole game. 157 though, and all that in one quarter. Also, an Eagles record, I might add, for a quarterback in one game. That's crazy. But the Pack, I got to give Green Bay just a little bit of credit, Zach. I know you're on a tangent and blah blah blah, but first of all, Jordan Love looked good.
He did,
and I got to say,
and so did Watson for that matter.
If he ain't your quarterback next season, I might want to have a talk with Matt LaFleur. I'll be honest with you. He looked good against look, a suspect Phillies D, and they did lose C.J. Gardner-Johnson throughout the course of the game.
Yeah, they didn't have Jordan Davis either. But I must say, they were only down by 10 at that situation. They weren't playing prevent. They still had to play actual coverage, and Jordan Love had to make actual reads. And the incompletions he had, he threw a dot to Watson for a touchdown. He threw an incompletion Mahomes style in the end zone, and he had another one. I think that was just a blatant drop. So I'm going to go to bat for Jordan Love this season. I wouldn't have done it a year ago, but he looked good, and I'm going to defend him until he doesn't.
It's a believer. He's a believer in Jordan Love.
Made a believer out of me, Jordan. Congrats.
So Philly improves. They still have one loss. They still haven't clinched the NFC East just yet. They can clinch a playoff berth. A lot of things have to go their way, including a bunch of ties, which, But Philly improving. Green Bay, I hate to say it, Zach, but I think you're on the bus with me.
Yeah,
their season's done.
They're done. They've been done for 3 weeks.
So
it's
so
official
is
now.
the NFC North for that matter, because Minnesota, all they need to do is win, and Detroit, by the way, second place Detroit Lions.
They're playing the Jags this week, though. That's not impossible.
It's the only reason we'll talk about the game is because it's actually important in the NFC North. But the upset of the week is those Jacksonville Jaguars, Zach. Defeating Baltimore at home. Defeating them when they were down by a touchdown with 2 minutes to go. Did you know, guys, the Jags entering that game when they were down by a touchdown with 2 minutes to go in regulation were 0-175. They got their first win in franchise history when they were down by a touchdown with 2 minutes to go. And guess who it came against? That's right, Mr. Choke Artists themselves, the Baltimore Ravens.
You suck!
Fool's gold. Fool's gold.
Fool's gold.
Fool's gold.
Baltimore, I don't understand how you guys have the record that you have. And I feel like I said this last year because they had the best record in the AFC through halfway of the season. And now, guess what? They have one of the best records in the AFC again. And guess what? Oh, they're starting to choke again. Could have fooled me. And Justin Tucker had to move heaven and earth to get a 67-yarder that missed by about 4 yards to win the game as well.
Hey, Joey, I'm going to throw this out there. The Ravens' wins this year were against the NFC South, each by one score, except for the Saints. That was just a dumb performance.
Talk about that.
They beat the Browns by a field goal. They beat the Bengals by 2. They beat the Pats by a touchdown. And they lost to the Bills and the Dolphins after leading by multiple scores in the fourth quarter.
Should have beat Baltimore. Anyway. But, yeah, Baltimore
and
losing. The AFC North wide open. Cincinnati, big win against Tennessee. They're getting close to Baltimore as well. Big win for them. Talking about the Browns, they got a win. Guess who they beat? Tom Brady and the Bucs. NFC South has all their teams under 500 once again.
You suck.
Congratulations, Tampa Bay. I was actually thinking you guys were going to run away with the division. And then you lost to Cleveland. And guess what? Cleveland's going to have Deshaun Watson next week, guys. Yay. Yay. We're so happy for... I don't care. So...
They're playing the Texans. It's all good.
It's the only reason people care about the game, in all honesty. Buffalo in Detroit, winning back-to-back games twice in 5 days. They are the first team since 2016 to win back-to-back games in Ford Field.
You suck.
That includes the Detroit Lions, who literally own the stadium. Dallas wins an important game against the Giants. Cowboys have now the tiebreaker against the Giants as of right now, and also a better wild card spot. So give credit to Dallas. They actually won a big game. Give them credit. The Bengals, we talked about them beating the Titans. Big game, but for both teams, really. Can we talk about Mike White for a second? This dude.
The guy's a winner.
This dude may have taken Zach Wilson out of New York. Can we just...
Wouldn't that be hilarious, though?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't doubt it, honestly. I mean, in the games that Mike White has played, he's played against good teams, except for, well, the Bears are not a good team. They have a good offense when healthy, but Justin Fields didn't play. I think even back to last year on Halloween Day, he goes in there against the Cincinnati Bengals, the AFC champion Cincinnati Bengals at that, with all their weapons, goes in there and scores 3 touchdowns in that game, and they win.
I don't know if Justin Fields would have made a difference, quite frankly.
No, he wouldn't have, because their defense has traded their 2 best players to Philly and Baltimore. So
yeah, this is true.
But Mike White goes in there and he wins games. He's done it every time he's hit the field, except for the time he got hurt against the Colts. So the kid can play. Give him a shot.
And he's a winner. And you could argue. I mean, let me ask you this, because I can't help but ask this question, guys. Has Zach Wilson started his last game as a member of the Jets?
I mean, the guy won't take accountability. In a game you lose 10-3 and you have 97 yards of total offense, and you say you didn't let your defense down. That's how you lose the locker room as a quarterback.
Yeah.
And then the on the field production, the guy's got less touchdown passes than a lot of people in the league. The yards aren't there. You have some good wins because your running game is playing well. And Joe Flacco bought you one against Cleveland. So
his press conferences are like Cam Newton, not in a good way.
Yeah.
Hey, now, hey. Don't do that.
Am I wrong?
Don't do that.
Not at all.
Don't do that.
That's a valid take in my mind.
Don't do that. I'll walk over to your mic right now. All right? Okay. Don't do that.
I don't know.
That wasn't cool.
Yeah.
That wasn't called
Zach
for.
Wilson's not mature enough to be a quarterback yet.
Get lost.
Okay, all right.
Get lost.
He's not ready.
I'm taking over the show.
Breaks. Okay.
Get lost.
I'm going breaks soon. Don't worry about it. The Chargers and Cardinals in a battle of which team is going to fire their head coach first. The Chargers scoring a touchdown, made it a 1-point game. Brandon Staley, in all his might and wisdom, decides to go for 2 and win the game. In a game that you needed to win, might I add. You didn't need to go for 2, but they did. They won the game. They got a nice little trail shake to Gerald Everett, which propelled them to a big win against Arizona. Hope you guys are happy with that. Congratulations, Brandon Staley. You probably actually finished the season. Congratulations. Boy, I hate it. Josh Jacobs, what a night he had, by the way. Close to 225 rushing yards, including the 85-yard game-winning rushing touchdown to beat Seattle, give them a big bruise on the way to the NFC wildcard berth. Big win for the Raiders, biggest win of the year for them. And the 49ers shutting out the Saints, a shutout really hard to do in the NFL. It doesn't matter what offense you have, what defense they're playing. Doesn't matter. Shutout's difficult to get. Niners shut out the Saints. Niners look really good, especially this week when they play Miami. I'm going to say it. This might be a low-key Super Bowl matchup. Miami and San Francisco. I mean, the way San Francisco's been playing, they've had worse records when they went to the NFC Championship game. Miami, when Tua's on the field, and Zach, you would know.
Unstoppable.
They look unbeatable. I'll say that. They look unbeatable. I don't even know if Buffalo can stop them. I'll be honest with you.
They didn't last time. Given since the clock ran out, but they didn't last time.
Week 17, Dolphins play the Bills. Watch out for that game.
I will.
That might be an AFC Conference Championship
That
preview.
should be Sunday Night Football that week.
That better be slated over to Sunday Night Football.
Waiting all day for Sunday
By the way,
night.
in case you guys missed it, the Chargers-Dolphins game in L.A. next weekend has been flexed to Sunday Night Football for next week, which I'm very excited about. I'm excited to watch my Dolphins play in prime time for the third time this year, and the Packers won't disappoint me because they're playing the Bears this week. So I'm excited.
Well, I mean, Aaron
Aaron
Rodgers owns the Bears, and he's already said that he's going to play.
If he can.
Yeah, he is.
We'll get to all that later.
I'll just say this one thing before we head to break. The same day, it's funny, the same day of the year that Jordan Love replaced Aaron Rodgers was the same day of the year that Aaron Rodgers replaced Brett Favre.
Yep.
Can I just point that out?
That's
right. Like history
It was
lining up.
definitely the same week. It was the same
history
week.
lining up.
Might have been 2 days
similar
difference.
plays to begin.
Oh, yeah?
I think so. I think they were both like long touchdowns.
Yeah.
I don't remember about that 'cause the Rodgers game was in Dallas, I believe. Was
Huge.
when that happened. So they didn't win the game.
Huge.
But against the Cowboys on a national stage, I mean, that's pretty big.
It is pretty big. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and head to a break. When we come back, the World Cup is about to start its knockout stages, and we've got all the updates for you, as well as who we feel are some teams to watch heading into the knockout rounds. We'll be back in a couple minutes. You're listening to After Further Review here on 90.9 The Light.
Listen up. Here's a riddle. Try to guess what it is. It can make you feel good. It can make you sharp, so sharp. The life of the party, on a roll. It can give you ideas upon ideas, turn you on, make you feel unstoppable. It can get you to buy things and do things that you'll regret. And then it changes everything. It makes the brightest day dark and sucks the color out of your life. It makes you feel too weak to get out of bed. Okay, do you know what it is? It's bipolar disorder. It is real, and over 2 million American adults have been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Unfortunately, many who live with it have been misdiagnosed for years or don't even know anything is wrong. With help, you can get better. Take a simple step. It's something you should find out about. To receive more information or to obtain help, call 1-800-969-NMHA or go to nmha.org. That's 1-800-969-NMHA or nmha.org.
Come experience the thrilling action of Liberty Flames men's basketball.
Pull up for three over Roland. Boom! McGee with 30.
Two-time ASUN Player of the Year Darius McGee is back and ready to put on a show for one more season.
Take our team last year, you give them a year of experience, there's no telling what can happen.
Come watch Liberty take on Maryland Eastern Shore this Friday at 7 p.m. at Liberty Arena in Lynchburg. Tickets at lubasketball.com.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that. Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
This is a really good song. This is the 2022 World Cup AFR edition, and we are here to talk about all the latest happenings in the World Cup. Obviously, not everything has been decided. Group G and Group H still have yet to have everybody be represented or officially confirmed. We do know in Group G that Brazil is in because they have too many points compared. They have 6 points. Switzerland has 3. Cameroon and Serbia each have 1, so it's mathematically impossible for Brazil not to get in. So we know they're in. They have nothing to play for, but we're not sure who's going to join them. In Group H, Portugal has 6 points. They're also in. Ghana has 3 points. All they need to do, they just need to win. They're in. Korea and Uruguay, by the way, Luis Suarez retired, 35 years old. Is this his last World Cup? Is this his last game? I mean, they only got 1 point, and they're in last place because their goal differential is worse than Korea, I might add. But the teams that we do know are moving on right now. We'll go group by group. Group A, the Netherlands and Senegal. Senegal with a big win to get in. Senegal defeating Ecuador 2-1. Ecuador was the second place team, and now they're on the outside looking in. 2-1 Senegal over Ecuador. Netherlands beating Qatar 2-0. They already had their spot kind of secured anyway. Group B, the results that maybe some people knew, but hey, the way that they got there is pretty impressive. England, a lot of people we thought they were gonna move on. They did, defeating Wales 3-0. And the USA moving on into the knockout stages. They will play Netherlands Saturday morning at 10 a.m. They defeat Iran 1-0. A lot closer than I'm sure USA fans wanted it to be, but we got it done, and the USA is moving on. Group C, Argentina. Lionel Messi getting one more shot to maybe win the World Cup. Maybe the last time we'll see Messi in the World Cup. He will join Poland, the only nationality of mine that's still in the actual FIFA World Cup.
Wow.
You may have noticed.
I didn't know that.
You may have noticed that I haven't said Italy once, and I'm not going to. This will be the last time I say it.
Because they didn't make it.
And who did they lose to, Josiah?
North Macedonia.
That's pretty bad.
I mean, shoot. Wonder which one's worse, that or when the United States lost to Trinidad and Tobago years ago.
Well, I'll say
that was bad.
You know, the difference between that loss and the Italy-North Macedonia loss, Italy doesn't have Taylor Twellman to rant about them. Argentina and Poland moving on in Group C. Group D, France, we all knew that, despite the fact, and I'm not going to do the Stewie, you suck, blah, 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 because France is a really good team.
Why not?
Because at the end of the day, France is, they had really nothing to play for. But they still lost to Tunisia. Tunisia. I did not make that up. They lost to Tunisia.
I thought it was. I mean, there are so many teams that it's so hard to pronounce.
It's okay, Scout.
Like Iran and I thought it was Tunisia.
Tunisia. I like that better actually.
Tunisia.
We'll go with that. But they're not in Tunisia.
Iran,
no. Australia's in. Give Australia a lot of credit. 2-1 and a very good record. They're moving on, playing the Group C winner, Argentina. The winner of that may get the USA in the quarterfinals. Who knows? Japan and Spain. This just was today.
Yeah.
Japan wins Group E. Who saw that coming?
I didn't.
The underdogs.
The underdogs. The bigger underdog story for a little bit was the fact that Costa Rica and Japan might have gotten out of the group of death and not Spain and Germany. Because at one point, Costa Rica was beating Germany.
Yeah, when I saw that score, I was flabbergasted. I was just like
flabbergasted.
I was like, what?
Could you imagine? Japan and Spain and Germany for a couple minutes were on the outside looking in. But no, Germany then responded. They got 3 unanswered goals. Didn't matter ultimately, as their goal differential just too big in Spain's favor. Spain moves on. Japan moves on. Group F. Shout out Morocco. Listen, they've quietly had one of the better tournaments out of these teams. 2 wins, 0 losses, 1 draw, and a +3 goal differential in a group that had Croatia and Belgium in it. I think that's pretty impressive. Croatia also in. They're in they're the runner-up in Group F, so to speak. Belgium is out at 4 points. I mean, that's unheard of, to be honest with you. The second-ranked national team in FIFA heading into this tournament will not see the knockout stages. It's crazy. I mean, all the stars that they have. So, guys, how much World Cup have we watched collectively, and how do we feel about teams in general? We'll start with our guest, Scout Hughes. What do you think?
I mean, I've watched probably over 10 hours worth now watching the World Cup, but it has definitely been a whirlwind to say the least, and waiting for the United States to come on and play the way they've been playing. I know, it's like I don't know how much I was expecting out of the United States, but when we tied with England, that almost felt like a win.
Yeah,
to me at least.
You weren't the only one that thought.
And
that.
then I was there watching the game. I wasn't there in Qatar, but I was watching the game
yes,
against
Iran. How much
Iran.
tickets are for that?
Against Iran. Well, maybe cheaper than you think, but I was watching the game against Iran, and when we scored, I was like, "Oh my god!" Jumping up and down, going crazy because I don't really follow soccer all that much until the World Cup comes around. But it's man, it has been crazy. And we still have some groups that need to be decided.
Yep. Group G and Group H being decided tomorrow, and then it's on to the knockout stages. Josiah, how much World Cup have you watched, my friend?
I've watched the entirety of all the United States games, and then I've sprinkled in here and there. But overall, a good majority. I've really been impressed, honestly, with the United States. I know that's kind of like the easy answer.
I know, USA.
But, just the one penalty goal No goals that didn't come from penalty. They played some solid defense. Tying England is a lot huger than people want to give credit for. So, I mean, shout out to them. I've also really been impressed with Japan.
Yeah.
I've been impressed, even though I believe they were eliminated. I was impressed with Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, beating Argentina.
They gave it everything they had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of all you can ask for. Of course, I still think it's France's World Cup.
Okay.
Even with the loss to Tunisia, they sat a lot of starters, and I just think, they had already won the group. There wasn't much to play for. They're more focused on. I believe they play Saturday as well, or will they play Sunday?
I want to say.
Regardless, they were more focused on their next game day. They weren't in, that game. It didn't matter to them. So there's a few teams that I feel really impressed with, and then some again. Mexico. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Them.
Haven't talked about them at all.
Them getting bounced like that, but
yeah,
it is what it is. They didn't bring their best player, Carlos Vela, for one reason or another. They didn't bring him, and they got bounced. So.
Tried to rely on 37-year-old Ochoa to try to save their way to the tournament, and
that doesn't usually work.
No, it really doesn't, especially when he's the keeper and he doesn't try to score. Zach, how much World Cup have you watched, my friend?
I maybe have an hour or two invested in the entire thing. I mean, I've watched a little bit here at the station. I got to see some yesterday. I got to see the it was on Tuesday. I got to watch the U.S. game against who was it? So was it Iran? It was Iran.
Iran Tuesday.
Yeah, Iran Tuesday. So I got to watch some of that as well. Caught the first half of that game. I had to get a class before the second half was over, but they could see some of that, and I was happy I got to see it. As far as teams that impressed me, I mean, just looking at the stat sheet, I mean, of course, the states that we got to be happy with how they've played so far. I mean, you draw England, you draw Wales, and then you beat Iran. That's enough to get the job done. So good for them. I would also say, as far as teams I'm impressed with, I think the ones that I mentioned, Argentina's played well, France has played well. Japan came out of nowhere, got the big win today, kind of bounced Germany last minute, so good on them. But here's two teams I'm impressed with, too, that haven't played their entirety of their group play. Brazil and Portugal both have one game to go. Both already have 6 points. That's better than a lot of teams are doing that are already in. So shout out to those guys. I expect both of them to have pretty good performances tomorrow, and they're also both undefeated in the World Cup so far. No draws, no losses, just 2 wins apiece.
When you talked about a few people that could be their final World Cup, could this be Ronaldo's final World Cup? It's 35. I mean,
yeah, I would say it
probably
is.
Is.
Yeah, it'd be a good story. Portugal were to advance far, maybe even win the whole thing. We'll see. Any team that has Ronaldo on it, you never know with that team. I've been impressed with a lot of different people. Obviously, I mean, I feel like Morocco deserves a lot of credit for winning their group and looking as well as they have throughout the group stages and what have you. I mean, say what you will. I mean, hey, who expected Australia to make it to the round of 16? I didn't. I mean, they went over Denmark, and Denmark was expected to be in, I mean, give them a ton of credit. Senegal, I mean, hey, can't say we know a lot of people on Senegal's roster, but you know what? They're a team that could surprise some people. Don't be surprised if that game in England is closer than people think. That's all I'm saying. And Japan, I mean, look, the group of death between Spain, Germany, and Costa Rica, who expected Japan to win that group and be undefeated in doing so? Not me. I didn't expect that to happen. A lot of good storylines out of the World Cup for the most part, and it's going to continue. Again, we're going to have final day of group plays tomorrow, and then knockout stage starts Saturday, and of course it starts with the US of A. They play the Netherlands, 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
USA.
Red, white, and blue. Go USA. When we come back, we'll give some NFL predictions, including a big game tonight, Bills and Patriots. It's a pretty big deal. We're back in a couple minutes. You're listening to After Further Review on 90.9 The Light.
Flames Nation, this is Liberty softball head coach and proud Flames Club member, Dot Richardson. I want to take this opportunity to invite you to join me in supporting Liberty Athletics' mission to train champions for Christ on and off the field. Your support directly impacts our student athletes and is a valuable part of our team. Membership starts at just $75 and comes with great benefits like access to premium seating, hospitality, and parking privileges. Join today. Visit libertyflamesclub.org.
You are not going to want to miss the Ball Boys. Join in on the fun as Riley Klingman and Joshua Lepowski go in detail about all the sports that you watch.
I mean, they were undefeated, went all the way to the state championship game.
All it is are two college kids that are getting away from the busy life of school to talk about the sports that they love.
The Eagles had the best draft.
Tune in every Saturday at 11 a.m. on thelightonline.com or on the 90.9 mobile app.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kristen Chenoweth. When our servicemen and women return from war, they often carry wounds that the rest of us cannot see. Up to 1 in 5 veterans who served in Iraq and Afghanistan are diagnosed with post-traumatic stress. And often, even the best treatment, including medication and therapy, they fall short. Sadly, more than 6,000 veterans die every year from suicide. Thanks to the life-saving power of the human-animal bond, professionally trained service dogs can help. But connecting a veteran with a well-trained service dog can be difficult. Wait lists are long and training can cost tens of thousands of dollars. But service dogs can bring healing. If you're a veteran or know a veteran struggling with post-traumatic stress or traumatic brain injury, please go to AmericanHumane.org to learn about their Pups for Patriots program, which provides dogs to veterans for free of charge. Let's help our veterans heal from the invisible wounds of war.
It's that Thursday night football theme, which means only one thing. It's time for some NFL predictions here on 90.9 The Light. Alongside Zach Wheeler, Scout Hughes, and Josiah Elmore of the Morning Drive, I'm Joey Palermo. We're going to start with the Thursday night game that's happening in just a couple hours from now. A huge game for both teams as the Buffalo Bills look to maintain first place, or not maintain, but reclaim first place. But they got to go to New England and play the Patriots, who honestly need this win. We're going to start with our guest today, Scout Hughes. Who you have today?
I mean, there's a good chance that the Patriots could pull this out.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's okay.
Even with the loss at Buffalo, even with everything that Buffalo's gone through, I don't think that New England's going to give them that much of a pushover. And, I have two New England guys sitting right here.
Be careful what you say.
A Green Bay fan sitting across from me, and I'm a Carolina/Washington Commanders fan only because the Commanders are in the playoffs. So, it's a sad table that's sitting here right now. And I'll throw it.
For the most part.
Fins up, Zach. He said fins up. I'll throw it to Josiah to see what he thinks, but I think the Bills got this in the bag.
Go ahead.
I agree with you. I don't see.
With all due respect.
I don't really see New England. New England's going to be without Trent Brown. They're going to be out with Damian Harris.
That's a big deal.
I just think the Bills are really getting a little nervous about where they're standing right now. They're kind of going to be going with that cutthroat committee type approach, and I think New England's going to get cut.
Oh boy, Zach, are you 3 for 3 in Buffalo's favor?
No, we're not. I actually beg to differ. I think that right now, I think the Patriots could win this football game. And here's why.
Get out of here.
Josh Allen's got a bad elbow. He hadn't looked the same in probably about a month. He's doing too much. Von Miller, he has a knee injury. He's on IR. He's not going to play tonight. And then you got to remember the fact, too, that the Buffalo Bills just went to Detroit, played against one of the worst defenses in football, and almost lost. And they probably would have at least gotten a chance at overtime had the clock management in Detroit been a little bit better from Dan Campbell. So I think the Patriots, they should have won last week. I think they will win this week because they're mad, and they need to secure their spot in the postseason hunt again.
They're a young team. They thrive off momentum. But here's the thing. I think that last week loss kind of stings. If they had beaten Minnesota, I would have been more confident. But because of the fact, it's also odd because ever since Brady left New England, they've played worse at home. Their record indicates they have a worse home record than a road record, which on one hand is like, wow, y'all play well on the road. But at the same time, it's like, come on, like it's Gillette Stadium, like big home field advantage. 24-17 Bills. I think they get it done. Hold on and beat New England. Let's head to the 1 o'clock games. We're going to start with a pretty important one in the NFC South. It's Pittsburgh and Atlanta. Scout, who you got?
Man, I can't decide if Pittsburgh beating Indianapolis is saying that much last week.
Can I just answer your question?
Okay.
It didn't.
It's not. Okay. So I think Atlanta has something to fight for right now because the NFC South race is very tight. And I could very well see Atlanta winning this game.
I mean,
and I think they might.
The opportunity for Atlanta to be in first place in that division has been there for a while now. They got to get it done sometime. Josiah, are you in agreement? Do you have an Atlanta here?
I think they could do it.
Okay.
I do. I just think they can.
They just think they can. So you think you're going Atlanta?
Hey, I'm going Atlanta. I think Pittsburgh is just kind of reeling.
I mean, when there's a will, there's a way. Yeah. Atlanta has a will. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, does not.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh's kind of accepted their fate at this point.
Yeah, they're just trying to see what Pickett has, essentially.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Oh, by the way, Kyle Pitts out for the season for Atlanta. That's kind of a big loss.
Yes, but they've been very run dominant.
They have.
So they're not really worried about
Tyler Allgeier's kind of come out of nowhere.
He has. And Cordero Patterson, owns his spot there, and he keeps his place.
Zach?
Yeah, Algiers hurting my fantasy team because I have Cordell Patterson, but that's for later. Yeah. I do think that the Falcons have a more complete roster right now. I think the offense is slightly better than Pittsburgh's just because, Kenny Pickett's Kenny Pickett, and we've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly from him so far this year. I think Atlanta's going to win this game. I think it's closer than people think. I'll give him the win by a field goal.
I'm doing it, guys. Pittsburgh's going to upset Atlanta, and here's how they're going to do it. Because Atlanta's going to turn the ball over with a couple minutes to go, and they're trying to bleed the clock out. And Kenny Pickett, through some will or some way, right, Scout, is going to find a way to get down the field, and Chris Boswell's going to line up for a 45-yarder, win the game 24-23, because that's what Atlanta does. They love to choke away ball games. Next game, really not that important in terms of the NFC North, Zach, with all due respect, but more so because of the rivalry itself. It's Packers-Bears. We got to talk about it. Scout, who wins this rivalry matchup?
The Packers. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The Bears, even if they were with Justin Fields, aren't worth 2 bags of garbage thrown away. I mean...
Sorry.
No,
you're right. You're on there. You're right.
Even if they had Justin Fields, they ain't worth 2 pieces of splashes of dog water.
Tell him, Scout.
I mean, I'll let Josiah take it because he's looking at me like Josiah's looking at me like.
This is a little bit of breaking news. That face was because Antonio Brown is currently in a standoff with police in which he has a weapon in his home.
Oh no!
So
is this isn't the first time that's happened though?
No, yes, this is the first time that's happened. So that's why I was giving you the crazy look because I'm sitting here seeing the breaking news come across. So
you've been a bewildered man all podcasts, so I don't blame you.
Just keep your eye on that because that's a scary situation. But no, I agree with Scout. Even Justin Fields, I just think the Bears have accepted, hey, we were a little bit further in our rebuild this year than we expected because they did show some flashes. But in the end, they're going to want to continue to get the highest draft pick they can. Either go get Fields a weapon, go get him a good offensive lineman, something like that. So even with Fields, and here's the thing, I think Rodgers is playing.
Yeah.
I think this is just him being him and just toe tapping around it. I think he'll end up playing.
All right, so you got Green Bay as well?
I got Green Bay, yeah.
All right, Zach, are you 3 for 3? You got Green Bay for
I'll
this
give you guys a scenario real quick. 2 scenarios, actually. This is a big game for a couple of reasons. One being that the winner of this game will have the most all-time wins by a single franchise in NFL history. That would make it from the tie right now is between the Packers and Bears at 786 apiece. The winner would get their 787th win, which would be the most. Playoffs-wise, the Packers are knocked out of the NFC North title contention with a loss or a tie or a Minnesota win and tie. Wow. The Bears are eliminated from playoff contention. That's playoffs if they lose and either Seattle wins or the Giants tie. So the Bears have a lot more to play for right now. That being said, the Packers, despite who the quarterback is, we know Justin Fields is Justin Fields going to play this week?
I believe he's
leaning
out.
Wouldn't make a dang difference if he did.
If Justin Fields plays this week, the Bears win. If Aaron Rodgers plays and Fields does play, the Packers will lose. Jordan Love plays, the Packers win.
Interesting.
But I'm going to take the Bears because I said I wouldn't pick the Packers again this year.
Wow. All right.
This year, it's the Bears.
Might be their only chance to get a win the rest of the year.
And they got to win this one to stay alive. It's a must-win game.
Zach, I feel like every time...
Wait, for who to stay alive? The Packers?
For the Bears.
Oh, I was about to say, that ship has sailed.
The Bears are mathematically eliminated if they lose.
That ship has sailed.
If they lose and the Seahawks win or the Giants tie. They need both of those to happen.
I'll keep it quick. Green Bay's going to win, and it's going to be a closer game than people think, like 17-14. It's probably going to be in the snow as well. I don't know that, but we'll see. Why not pick this one? It's pretty important in the NFC North. If they lose, we'll go Jacksonville and Detroit. Boys, let's make this one quick. Scout, who you got?
Can you repeat that?
Jacksonville and Detroit.
Detroit.
All right.
Yeah,
The Lions.
I mean, even though
Give
Jacksonville.
me the Jags.
Yeah. What?
Lions ain't scared of no Jags.
What?
You
The
got
Jags beat the
Jacksonville,
Ravens
though.
last week. I'm taking the Jags.
I think he got.
I'm going off the mascot.
Yeah, I was about to say the mascot. I think has, shocked you so much that you got to go with him. But Lord, I don't know what you're doing.
That's a tough one. Jacksonville's favored in this one by 1 point. It's crazy, I know, but
Dan Campbell, baby.
give him credit. I'm gonna take the fight.
I want my can of Dan Campbell's.
That's good. Campbell's chicken noodle soup.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I'll take Detroit to win this one game. I just don't think Jacksonville could keep more than a one-game winning streak intact. Let's go New York and Minnesota. The Jets and the Vikings. Big game for both teams, really. Scout, who you got?
You know what? Give me the Jets.
Mike White, baby.
I'll take the Jets in this one.
Mike White.
As long as Zach Wilson is on the bench,
I was going to say.
I have faith in the New York Jets.
I have faith in Mike White.
Jets, Jets.
I have faith, but I'm not going that far. Zach, Jets and Vikings.
I'm going to take the Vikings to win because they win the division if they get the win.
Okay.
Is that what you're banking on?
Well,
they have something to play for. The Jets are still in a wild card spot, and they're a couple games back.
If your prediction holds true, Minnesota would be the first team to clinch their division.
Yes.
So there you go. I'll go. Zach, fill me in on this.
Okay.
What time is the game?
It is at 1 o'clock.
When does Kirk Cousins play his best football?
1 o'clock.
Vikings, please. Josiah, you just showed up. Jets or Vikings?
Same thing, Vikings.
Vikings.
Well, first off, who cares? 1 o'clock, whatever. It's still the Jets. They are.
But it's Mike White.
It's Mike White.
They are who we thought they were.
It'll be close. It'll be close.
Vikings, fair enough. Commanders and Giants. Scout, Commanders fan. Big game for them.
Big Commanders. Yeah, let's go.
Commanders.
We're going to take command go into the playoffs. Hail to the Commanders.
That's a song,
Hail
right? HTTC, right?
Yeah, it's new this year.
I want to start a petition.
Yeah.
And I want to change the name of the fight song from just Hail to the Commanders. Let's make it
Command
simple.
the Commanders.
Command the Commanders.
Hashtag CTC.
Let's just make it Hail to the District. That sounds better.
Here's an idea.
What's
I don't mean to be a smart aleck on this. They need to stop changing things. let's just change like 12 times in the last year. Let's just
the only thing they need to change
is ownership.
Oh, I was going to say FedEx Field.
And FedEx Field.
And that. Well, anything's better than the Washington football team. That's all I'm saying.
I had a soft spot for the football team.
Yeah, they didn't bother me.
They didn't bother me. Did they bother you?
I don't know. I mean, it's just something about the fact that there's a team with a default name and no mascot.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
but they were the only one. That's what made it special.
I don't know. It's just a pet peeve of mine. Josiah, did you pick Commanders Giants? Who you got?
Commanders.
Commanders.
I like Taylor Heineke.
Yeah,
You like
hot
Taylor
take.
Heineke?
Taylor Heineke is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones and has been his entire career. Give me the Commanders.
I think the Giants are starting to fall apart a little bit. I
think they'll still make the playoffs, though.
They might. The way the NFC has been, they'll probably still hold on. I got the Commanders as well. They're playing better football right now. This is a big game. Derrick Henry and the Titans facing the Eagles. Another tough test for Philly at home. Scout, do you see the Eagles holding on to their one-loss record?
Yeah, I don't think they'll get a second loss. I think they're pretty good right now. I mean, they have no reason to lose this game right here.
Just home. You could argue, hey, the more complete running team.
Yeah.
Did I say it?
Yeah.
Josiah,
Get
Titans,
lost.
Eagles?
Philly.
Philly.
Give me Philly. They just seem like that team right now. Even though they have the one loss, they seem like the team that is very solid. And at the end of the day, I trust their offense more than I do the Titans offense. And so I'm just going to have to go with them.
I mean, hey, Jalen Hurts is having a great year. Zach, are you in agreement here?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Should note, Philly can clinch a playoff spot this week. They need a win and losses from the Commanders, from the Seahawks, and from the 49ers.
Yeah, I mean, I think sooner or later the bubble's going to burst on Philly. I don't think they played well ever since they lost their first game. But I just can't trust Ryan Tannehill in big games to come through. So I'll take Philly by a field goal and just be lucky that they're not playing a quality opponent. Denver and Baltimore. Scout, to quote you, Broncos country, let's ride. Is it going to be the case this week?
I think it's a possibility. The way Baltimore's been playing lately, I'll tell you that much. I mean,
All right.
shoot.
Yes, but it's still Russell Wilson and these terrible Broncos.
You're acting like Russell Wilson's the problem.
He's a
He is the problem.
Are you sure? Who else is the? Is it Hackett? Because I'm in agreement.
That was
It is Hackett, but it is also Wilson. Morris,
yeah.
give me that little button. You suck. Yeah, they both suck.
Copy that.
You suck.
There you go. Zach, Broncos or Ravens?
The Broncos are not very good at football. Thing is, they just blew out the Panthers, who the Ravens struggled to beat. I'm going to take the Ravens to win this one by a field goal.
Broncos Nation, let's hide in a corner somewhere. This hasn't been a good year.
Get out of here.
Baltimore by like 15. The Browns and Texans, this game is only being talked about because of one man, and he really even shouldn't be on the field, but that's another story. Deshaun Watson coming back. It's his debut against his old team. The NFL totally didn't plan for this to happen at all. Scout, should be quick. Who you got?
I'm sorry, say it one more time.
Cleveland, Houston, Deshaun's debut.
Oh, Cleveland.
Josiah, Cleveland, Houston, Deshaun's debut.
Still Cleveland. I don't even think, honestly, I don't think Deshaun's debut has. I mean, yes, like you said earlier, this is the only reason people care about this game.
Yeah.
But you could probably trot me or Scout out there.
Me and Mike Trout out there.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, you can do that. I love getting paid millions of dollars.
I think we could beat Houston right now.
Oof, boy. Number 1 overall pick right now, Houston Texans. Zach, who you got?
Yeah, I think any of us would probably be a better quarterback than Kyle Allen right now. That being said, the Texans, again, must-win game. They lose this one, they're done from the playoffs. They'll be the first team to be mathematically eliminated this year.
Ooh.
So they need this one. That being said, the Browns are going to give them the business.
Imagine if the Texans not only win this game.
They're going to give him the business.
He's giving them the business.
Personal foul. Offense. Number 69. He was giving them the business
down there. I'll just say this. This. Could you imagine if Houston, despite the fact they have the worst record in the NFL, imagine if not only they beat Cleveland, which would be really funny, but also if Chicago loses and the team that isn't even the worst record in football is the first team eliminated from the playoffs. I think that'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah, interesting is a good word for it.
All that to say, give me Cleveland. Deshaun ain't losing to his old team. Seahawks and Rams. Let's go to the 4 o'clock games real quick. It's Geno Smith versus whoever the freak the Rams throw out there. Scout, who you got?
Whoever the Rams aren't. I mean, not the Rams.
Is it still Bryce Perkins at quarterback?
He's probably. I think last I saw, he's probably still going to go.
Oh,
he was a great quarterback in college.
He was, and I feel bad for him because he's in a really bad situation. I mean, you don't
not,
have
it's rough. Not the Rams.
You don't have anybody.
You don't
pretty
have
much.
anybody. You're kind of just going out there and just.
Allen Robinson is out for the season.
Running around like.
Not.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Joey.
Yeah.
It's not the Rams.
It's not.
It's not the Rams.
It's the retirement home dressed as the Rams. Give me Seattle.
Hey, I'm just saying though, those 3 first-rounders that they sent Detroit, well used.
Yeah.
You got a Super Bowl last year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you did. And
That's
here's
fair.
what I think.
Hope you like it.
We're gonna have to look into it, but I think
into it.
Los Angeles might go from the Super Bowl to the worst record in NFL history.
Could you imagine that? I mean, that's
Like, I don't know.
crazy.
What
You
is-
mean
what
below
is-
Houston and
No,
Carolina?
No, what is the worst record after somebody won a Super Bowl?
It's worth a goog.
It's around what the Rams are right now, I'm
you know
pretty
what I mean?
sure.
Gosh, look
'Cause I know
into
a lot of-
Denver in 2016.
I know a lot of teams got to the
pretty
Super
bad.
Bowl, but then there's people who won the Super Bowl, then they get there, and now it's
Great
like,
question. I want to say Philadelphia maybe after they won it, but
I'm getting the
check
Duke right now.
I mean, we'll check that later, but
Clean sweep, Seattle. Rams are 2 injured. Dolphins and Niners. We talked about this. A little bit of a Super Bowl preview, maybe? Question mark. Scout, who you got?
I'm so sorry.
Miami and San Fran.
San Fran. Even though McCaffrey is not gonna play, I think San Fran can make some magic happen. Sorry, Zach.
It's a coin flip. I think we can be honest here. Josiah, Miami or San Francisco?
are we sure McCaffrey's not playing?
Not sure.
I was told he was on.
What I was reading, he was a full participant at practice.
Oh, well then I must have read something different.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, but I still agree with you. McCaffrey went, or 49ers. I think it's gonna be close. Like I'm
oh
saying,
yeah.
Where's it at?
It's
San
in
Fran.
Candlestick.
Yeah.
Or Levi's Stadium. Candlestick got destroyed 7 years ago.
I
Levi's.
think
Come
it's-
on,
I think
Joey.
it's like seriously like less than a field goal game. Like
Yeah.
somebody kicks a field goal at the end to win, and it's like a 1-point game.
And hey, Robbie Gold still pretty gold.
Yeah.
Zach?
All I'm going to say is Mike McDaniel knows this team. He's taken half of it with him to Miami. He's got Jeff Wilson. He's got Mostert. He's got River Craycraft. He's got Trent Sherfield. Just to name a few former 49ers. that came down with them, and a lot of the staff too. So the Niners also, they don't have a quarterback. Tua can swing like nobody's business. Give me the Dolphins to win by a touchdown.
I got 2 words for all y'all. Fins up. Because here's the thing. Tua doesn't need to throw the ball deep. The Niners have a great front seven, and they're going to get to Tua at some point, especially if Teron Armstead doesn't play.
He's questionable.
It's questionable,
Straight
right?
pack.
So here's the thing. You don't need to throw it deep. You could just throw slants and drags all night. And that secondary for San Francisco is kind of a little suspect. For that reason alone, give me Miami by like 10 points, 34-24. They get a statement win in San Francisco, and watch out. A lot of people may be talking about this game in January. Chiefs and Bengals, big game for playoff positioning. Scout, Kansas City, Cincinnati. Who wins this one?
Give me the Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs. They've been really good all year, and it's not that I don't have faith in Cincinnati. It's just I don't have faith in Cincinnati against Kansas City. Nothing personal.
Yeah, I totally understand. Josiah, are you in the same boat? You had a statement earlier in the day. If it's not Buffalo, it's Kansas City.
Yeah, to me, it's until it's not Kansas City, it's Kansas City.
Yeah.
I don't want to count out Patrick Mahomes. And yes, I know this one is in. Well, it's not Brown Stadium anymore. I don't even know.
It's actually.
Is it not Paul Brown?
Yeah, they changed the name from Paul Brown to
it's
some random insurance company.
I forgot what it was.
Regardless, give me the Chiefs.
Zach?
At home, got to pick the Bengals.
Okay.
Also, should mention right now that Lyle Collins did practice in full today. Jamar Chase, Jim Mixon both limited today, but they did practice. And DJ Reader was out. Josh Tuopo, I believe, plays on the defensive line. He had a calf injury, and he was a full participant in practice today, too. Bengals getting all their guys back this week. Cincinnati wins this game.
And to answer your question, Josiah, Paycor Stadium.
Paycor.
What do they do?
Who?
I know you just looked up. Can you tell me what they do?
Sure, I can. Like off the top of my head, no.
Yeah.
I think they're insurance.
I'll just say this. Cincinnati, when they made it to the Super Bowl, one of their bigger wins of the season was at home against Kansas City. Give me Cincinnati in this one, and they win by like a touchdown. I think it's going to be the game of the week. Chargers and Raiders. Fun fact, the Raiders are favored in this game. No clue how. Battle of which team's going to fire their head coach first, Scout. Who's your winner?
You know what? Why the heck not? Give me the Raiders. They had a good time. They had a good time against Seattle last week in overtime. Man, is it going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Josiah's left to become the Adam Schefter of our group once again. So, Zach, we're going to go to you.
Joey.
Yeah, I'm with Scout on this. I'm going to take the Raiders just because I don't know if the Chargers are going to be able to play competitively for a full game like they have earlier this season. They haven't shown it yet.
Hail to the Raiders.
Where are you going with that? I was afraid for a moment.
I can be irritated.
Oh, I see why you were scared. I'm sorry for giving you that scare.
I can be a little bit irritated at the fact that people continue to hire Josh McDaniels as their head coach in 2022. But my hatred for Josh McDaniels is not nearly as big as the hatred I have for Brandon Staley. Give me the Raiders.
Really?
Clean sweep.
All right.
Brandon Staley's holding this team back. Changed my mind. Sunday Night Football. For some reason, the Colts had back-to-back primetime games. No idea how they got that. Good luck facing Dallas at home. Scout, who's your winner?
You know what? Why not? Give me Dallas.
It's not an upset?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so you're just going boys, right?
No, I mean, no. I think they're totally capable of winning the game.
I think so too.
No, I'm not giving any special treatment here.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I'm going Dallas too.
Were you wanting me to?
Yeah. The way you were saying it felt like you were going in deep. Okay. I'll go Dallas as well.
Yeah.
Zach, clean sweep.
This one's Cowboys, and it's not close.
Cowboys not close. Monday night game. Believe it or not, the top two teams in the NFC South right now, the Bucks and the Saints. Unbelievably, this is actually a big game. Unbelievably, the Saints still have a shot at winning the division. Scout, who you got?
Give me the Bucks. And I mean, it might be close, like a 10-point game, but the Saints. Come on, guys. Monday night.
I know.
Come on, man.
This is why Monday Night Football should have flexed their schedule out for a while now. Zach.
Yeah, this one here is honestly a coin flip to me. I mean, the Saints have had their record, but their number the last few years. They also have Andy Dalton at quarterback. I think Tampa Bay is going to win this one in a really ugly, low-scoring game. I'm talking like both teams are less than 14. What about Iowa out there?
Yeah. Last time I checked, Tampa Bay's quarterback, as old as he is still Tom Brady. Last time I checked, the Saints quarterback is still Andy Dalton. The Saints have been crap when Andy Dalton is their quarterback.
He said simply crap.
Simply crap. And for that reason, and I cannot give any other reason, Tampa Bay is going to find a way to win this game by hook or by crook. Tom Brady may get sacked 18 times. It doesn't matter. They're still going to find a way to win this game. So we're going to just bridge straight to college football, to be honest with you, because we don't have enough time to go to break.
We've got 3 minutes. Let's just do Power 5.
So we're going to go straight to the championship games, and we're going to pick the games that matter, so to speak. So we got
a rapid fire. We got to go.
Pac-12, Utah, USC, Scout. Who's your winner?
Trojans.
USC.
USC in a very competitive game, 45-38.
Competitive's right.
USC gets the win. Next up, SEC. Isn't important? You be the judge. LSU, Georgia.
Top dog, Georgia.
Yeah, go Dogs.
Go Dogs. LSU got nothing to play for at this point. Let's go Big Ten. Purdue, Michigan. Scout, does Purdue have a chance?
Nope, it ain't worth talking about. Wolverines.
Yeah, go Big Blue.
Why'd you talk about it?
I'm kidding. That's rough. Purdue keeps it close for a half. Michigan pulls away in the second half. J.J. McCarthy looks pretty good.
Just like Ohio State.
ACC. I heard that. ACC. We got to talk about it because Clemson's actually playing. Clemson, UNC. This should be a fun game, Scout.
Give me the Tar Heels. You might never hear me say that again.
Yeah, Heels in an upset. I agree.
Hey,
Clemson's offense isn't good.
You're going to get the recording of this, and you're going to have to keep it, Scout.
Yeah, because I got to submit it.
Me too.
You know what? And you know what? There you go. And you know what? I'm with you.
Hey, let's go.
UNC.
Yeah.
UNC getting the win and knocks out whatever chance Clemson has.
Let's go, Carolina. You'll never hear me say that again. Be happy.
Big 12, the biggest game of the week. Kansas State, TCU. Does TCU get in, Scout?
Yes, they do, and they avenged the way they didn't get in the first year of the playoff. Give me the Horned Frogs.
They get it done. They finish undefeated. Zach, are you in agreement?
I think Kansas State's going to keep this one really close, but I think in the end the Horned Frogs pull away.
Yes, sir.
I'm been a TCU fan this whole season. I bet against them when they played Kansas State the first time. That's not happening this time. Horned Frogs, get it done. Finish 13-0. So, Scout, based on those results, who do you see in the top 4 on Sunday?
Georgia. In this order, Georgia.
Yeah.
Michigan, TCU, USC as it stands right now.
You picked all 4 of them to win, so they're going to stay. Can't imagine it would change. Zach, who's your top 4 if this season goes as you plan it?
I also picked all 4, so it's going to be Georgia at 1, Michigan at 2. I think USC could jump TCU at 3, depending on what happens in that game. I like that happening, and then TCU is going to be 3 or 4.
All
right, fair enough. Georgia, 1. Michigan, 2. They get it done. TCU 3, USC 4. Unless Josiah wants to give us his top 4 real quick, because we did predictions.
We're doing championship weekend.
Nah, I'm good. Y'all keep
all right.
Well, we want to thank Josiah Elmore. We want to thank
sorry
Scout.
about my appearance on
No,
the
it's
show
okay. Between the 2 podcasts that you've been on, I think you've combined to be on one total show.
Hey, there's always next week.
It's like
there's always next week, and then
hit the fan when you don't expect them. So
hey,
what did you say?
Things just hit the fan when you don't expect them.
I'm sorry,
yeah, you know how it goes. But hey, it's been a busy show, and there's been a lot going on.
I thought
But we want to thank Josiah Elmore. We want to thank Scout Hughes for
Thank you
being
so
on
much.
After Further
Thanks for having
Review.
me.
It's not a problem. We always welcome y'all on board. We're gonna see what we can do next week in terms of guests. Maybe we'll have Josiah on for the 3rd time so we can actually put out a whole show. But regardless, for Zach Wheeler, for Josiah Elmore, for Scout Hughes, I'm Joey Palermo. This has been After Further Review on 90.9 The Light. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Until then, have a great night and God bless.
WQLU Lynchburg, a broadcast service of Liberty University, 90.9 The Light.